sometimes the mute doesn't come off when I come out of. Apparently, sometimes I got it. I got it. Thank you very much. Sometimes when I come out of the intro, it's supposed to take the mute off, but if some reason didn't do it this time. So all good. I am Liverpool 12th man, and thank you for dealing with my segment of silent film, my silent film episode or segment. So now that we're done the silent film segment of the show, I'd like to properly introduce you to the show. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of fun stuff to talk about. And I'm glad to see that you are here with me on this journey, as always, because it's always good to be along with my fellow Reds. So we are going to be getting into a couple of different things today. We're going to get into, if you saw the thumbnail at least, there's three main topics that we're going to be delving into, but we're going to shine some light on some of the highlight spotlight players, as I like to call them, or the player spotlight section. We're also going to, we can speak on, if you want to bring up some of the FA Cup fixtures that are going on currently, we can bring that up too at some point. Also, we're going to go into a little bit of a grab bag as well when it comes to news for Liverpool, news about, football in England, or even news from around the world. And we even have a little ratings segment because we didn't get into the ratings yesterday. We'll try to get through the ratings this time as quickly as possible to keep everyone engaged, and also certainly to keep everyone up to date as to what's going on in the world of football. So, with that said, we're going to say hello to everyone in the chat. Said a big up to Abdul, big up to Bernie. Hope that you're both well. And we're also going to, let me make sure I get this all set up as well, because I have a segment here that's ready for the player rating, but I wanted to bring up first on here, I'll bring in Lante. Big up Lante, how you doing?
Yeah, Liverpool 12. Hope you're good. Big up to the rest of the chat. Another fun packed evening tonight.
Yeah. Definitely another fun ride. I was just about to get into this player spotlight that I have. I have basically in today's show, I have obviously I have the player spotlight and player rating section. I'm going to get into basically our road to 20. Basically, we're on the road to 20. We're that much closer to getting there, but I'm going to get into what exactly it is that we need to get there. And then I'm also going to, like I said yesterday, get into a little financial, the inside, the behind the scenes business of Liverpool football, and a little bit of grab bag news in the sense of a little football potpourri, we can call it. So I'm bringing Lee into the conversation as well. And bring up Brian as well. Everyone's joining up. Big up, you guys. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. Brian, how are you?
Yeah, cool, man. I just finished up my show. Just popped straight in here.
Yeah. I have to see. I don't know. Quasi's on the same. He's not on the same. Because I don't do daylight savings time in my state, we're not always on the same hour of the day. But Quasi, I know, does his. He is up bright and early, and he gets his broadcasts in pretty early. That's why I used to do a lot more collabs with him, but because he's on so early, I'm not able to do as many as I would like. But okay. I have not seen what he did. I did not see the piece he did yet this morning.
No. 12. I think basically I was on Big Up Radiums. I was on the show yesterday. Flipping out. There's about 4 hour show. And Abdul and Big Up Abdul as always. Him and Quasi said some comments, and then Quasi was a bit I like because it's a bit rude saying he ain't got a clue about football, and then obviously they had a back and forth basically.
Okay.
That's what it was. So I just said,
Yeah. Okay. Well,
he's in California, is he?
He is.
California. Yeah.
Quasi's in the Bay Area. He's up there.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Right.
he's up there with
E40.
E40. E40 in the lights.
Hey,
there you go. There you go.
E40, yeah, t-shirt. Come on.
Yeah. He's in the Bay Area with E40 and Too Short. They're little Bay Area shout outs there. Maybe even a little digital underground for those old heads in the.
Digital man, yeah, fucking I get around.
There you go.
I get around.
There you go.
Yes.
But yes, sometimes we're not, when daylight savings time hits, when we spring forward, I'll be on the same time. I'm on the same I'll be on West Coast time, but right now I'm on Mountain Standard Time, so that's how it is. It's tough. It's sometimes annoying with the whole daylight savings time thing. Like, it's annoying because I don't have to move my clocks, but then again, there's times when I'll try to call home on the East Coast, and I forget that it's a 2-hour difference as opposed to a 3-hour difference, or vice versa, so that could be annoying. But all the same, big up Norm, big up Callum. We are going to I wanted to bring up some stuff about this player spotlight that I've been harping about, wanting to get into a little bit more, because I thought that yesterday there was 2 particular players. Usually player spotlight is normally just 1 player, but sometimes I will bring in an additional. And this time I'm going to bring out a little bit of a sharing of the platform. I'll have a main actor and a supporting actor, I guess you could say, for this one. And the two players that I thought were deserving of this from the Newcastle game was Donis Szoboszlai. And I also thought, after watching the game back, and this is why sometimes it's weird, you might watch a game, have a certain amount of have a take on it. You might, we do our viral reactions, so you'll get the raw, unrehearsed, thoughts and the whole likes. And you watch the game back and you pick up things that you might not have seen when you initially watched it. Maybe you're focusing more on something that you're picking up on simply because maybe you looked at stats, or maybe you looked at conversations on the internet or amongst your friends and the likes. And it was Kostas Tsimikas that really was surprisingly a little bit better than I really was ready to give him credit for, because overwhelmingly that horrible miss that he had, he's not a goal scorer, so let's not get it twisted, but that he had a shot on net, not even a shot on, it went wide of net, but it should have been a shot on net. And I think that overshadows a lot of his performance that day. So I wanted to get into it. So before we even get into Tsimikas, let's get into Dominik Szoboszlai's contributions. His performance in this game, I think, truly exemplifies his value to this team, something I've been stressing and trying to bring out a lot. There's been a bit of a misconception, I think, floating around that all Dom does is run a lot. Shout out to Montz with that hot take. But he he's some guy that just covers ground and presses, and that's it. But let's set the record straight. Szoboszlai has been exceptional. I think he's certainly come into another stage of exceptionalism with his performances as of late, especially these last 2 games as of note. And it's a clear reminder of how much more he brings to the table, I think. In this match, he was absolutely integral to everything Liverpool did, I think, in this game, in the attacking third at least, even in the pressing of the midfield. He scored the opening goal, obviously, but I'd like to break down just how critical his contributions were in that moment. Because after a brilliant run from Lucho, Diaz cut the ball back, finds Vasilai, plenty of space, and he absolutely had a very, very clinical finish in that it even I think it's not snookers. It's what's the game with the wickets? Like the
Cricket.
where cricket. Oh wait, that's cricket. Excuse my fault. What's the one with the where you have to hit the ball through the you have those like mallets and you got to like hit the ball through the gates. Croquet. That's it. He made two Newcastle players look like the croquet wickets basically because he nutmegged two players before the goal. It was a pretty impressive goal. But even beyond the goals, Vasilai's all-around performance I thought was key to keeping Liverpool's momentum in that game. I think his ability to influence matches has been crucial throughout the season, and I think that something has been highlighted, and he's particularly in these last couple of games. Looking at his statistics alone, he had a goal, obviously, but he had 2 key passes. He had 3 tackles. He had a successful dribble. He had 89% of his passing completion. He was 8 out of 10 for his duels won. He had 10 defensive actions. That was the second most in the game. He had 8 recoveries. That was the second most in the game. And he had the most shots, which is impressive considering that there were times when Szoboszlai was going without shooting somewhat in games or he was looking to pass and simply pass. He wasn't really getting a shot off, sometimes having the opportunity to score, but not necessarily taking advantage of the opportunity. But I just mean that his contribution to the team is not just about goals. He's played every single minute of the last 450 minutes of the past 15 days. That's wild. He's had obviously the contribution of 2 goals. He's had the assist, and he's put up I don't know how many freaking miles he's put on the odometer by going all the runs that he's been making. But it's an exceptional performance that we've seen from Dominic. And why I brought up, and this is the last part I'm going to bring up, and then I'm going to open it up to the panel, and I'm also going to open it up to you in the chat. Why I thought Tsimikas was exceptional and should be a little bit shared on the light is that, again, that miss was one thing, but it was a weird situation where I didn't recognize the fact that he got involved defensively so well into this game. Tsimikas is not known necessarily for his defense. More so when we come to it, we often think of Robbo more than we think of Tsimikas as a defensive, I wouldn't say stalwart, but I would say at least a defensive asset on the pitch. It was Tsimikas, though, on that left side, that really made a true difference. It was surprisingly so, but he helped launch counterattacks with his passing, was good positionally with his awareness. He had 2 tackles, 1 interception, 3 clearances. He's 92% for his passing completion, 56 out of 61. And the key part, what I said about that defense, he won 7 out of 9 duels. I did not realize that he was involved in that many duels, much less that engaged in the game. So, it is something of a case. I understand that there's a lot of people out there that want to see us revamp on our left side, especially on our left back side or left back position. But you got to give it to not only Robbo, who has put up some decent games. I'm not saying he's been exceptional, but I will say that he's been decent. He's been serviceable. And it was a situation where he's played a few games in a row. This game was good to see him get a rest. Tsimikas did not drop the baton. He kept the position moving. And although I think he didn't necessarily get involved incredibly with that effort that he had, I still think you got to give a shout out to him for his performance. I think sometimes you can give the praise to the goal scorers, but sometimes you got to give praise to the players like Norman's mentioning, like Endo, like Simicast, even like Sabasli early in this year, that although they're not getting goals, they're still putting in shifts, you know, like the same with like Maka or maybe even a Gravenberch who hasn't scored. I don't know if Gravenberch's got a goal this year, at least in Premier League, in the league at least, you know. But yet everyone's been so high in praise for Grav, and rightfully so. So it's like one of those cases. I wanted to give a shout out to Simicast. I want to give a shout to Dom. Being that what I just said, I'd like to get your opinions on the two players that I chose as our player spotlight. Do you think they're rightfully so to be in this player spotlight after you're hearing what they've done in that game and maybe hearing some other things about their crescendo to this point in the season for us? I'll start with Nalante, go to Lee, and then go to Brian for that answer.
Oh, about Dominic.
About Dom, and you can touch on Simicast or you could do vice versa, whichever player you want to talk about.
I thought again. I think I've watched it once, probably not more as you, but I thought Simicast was okay. I thought a little bit shaky. Not that he's just in terms of his positional sense. And when Newcastle didn't really have a chance for the middle, just once or twice on the wing. But after that, to be fair, he's really solid. There wasn't. There was no really issue on the right hand side from Jacob Murphy, and like you said, which is a good point.
Think about that. That's why I was bringing that up. I'll allow for you to continue to elaborate. I was just going to say, but think about that. There wasn't. Murphy was a player that has been in form. Let's not get it twisted. And I mean, he's like, he might be a purple patch or whatever people want to call it. And people might not necessarily rate Murphy. I don't necessarily rate Murphy that highly, but he's a serviceable player, obviously. He's possibly, I would go as far as to say he's better than what they had at that right wing position. Now that player is now at Atlanta in America here. But he pretty much had nothing other than, I think, one attempt. That one attempt was even a poor attempt at that. On that left side, at least. Well, go ahead.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to.
No, that's fine. No, fine. No. Like I said, there's not much. Kind of agree with your point, to be honest. Yes, there wasn't much, and like you said, Simicast defensively gets overlooked at times, and he was solid. Yeah, listen. We got a clean sheet, but again, you have to go. We're going on individual players as you are, and I thought he's solid. Again, when similar to like when we talk about the game, not the ref, and he did his job, and that's all you can say. So fair play to Simi. Fair play.
Okay. Lee, how about your feelings on it? And then I'll bring in Brian, and then give a proper introduction to JK. But this,
could I go last on this one?
Okay, all right.
I was talking to Norm in the chat about there's a pub in Liverpool city centre, and he said he's seen me on the live stream.
Yeah, go ahead. Do your thing. No problem. Well, I'll take this opportunity since you have a little break. Big up, JK. How are you doing today?
I'm good, bro. How are you doing? How are you cool?
Good. I know that you missed the whole. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I know that you missed the whole intro of statistics and reasoning and the likes of why I brought Dominic and why I brought Simicast up, but I could do a quick one for instance for Sim. I'll do a quick recap on their statistics at least. Simicast had 2 tackles, 1 interception, 3 clearances, 92% for his passing, 56 out of 61, 7 out of 9 for his duels won. And also had 7 defensive actions, third most in the team yesterday, or not yesterday, but Newcastle game. And then for Dominic, he had obviously the opening goal, technically the game winner, but he also had 2 key passes. He had 3 tackles won. He had a successful dribble. He had 89% passing. He was 8 out of 10 for his ground duels. He was 10 defensive actions, second most in the game, 8 recoveries, second most in the game, second most on the pitch, by the way, and that's for both teams. And also he had 3 shots, which is joint most on our team in the match, actually, which is exceptional considering that normally, you have Salah getting a lot of shots, or you have, Cody maybe getting a good boatload of shots. And now even Diego every once in a while now starting to pick up his shot totals. But all of a sudden our midfield's scoring a lot more. All of a sudden our midfield's taking those opportunities. And I was trying to emphasize the fact of it's good to see Tsimikas take this, I think, well-deserved moment in the sun. And I also think that it was good to see Tsimikas get an opportunity to not only play the support role to allow for Robbo to get some rest, but he actually was defensively solid and actually was, Murphy wasn't able to really, push on from his purple patch or whatever you want to call it. I thought that those are two players that I brought up, and I wanted to hear your thoughts on the two players, if one or both players.
Like for me, Szoboszlai's realised we were in a title push since the Tottenham 6-3 game, and he sort of stepped up at a time where we were only playing with two attackers, for example. So he's been sort of that extra attacker in that formation we played. I think sometimes in games where we play three up top, I think Szoboszlai sort of the area he sort of gets into gets covered by other players, so he can't do what he's good at. I mean, we've seen what he's good at in the last few games, you know what I mean? So for me, Szoboszlai sort of found his feet eventually. It took a long time. More consistent now as well. And he's looking good. I'm looking good. And I think Tsimikas as well came and did a job. Can't really moan. Kept the clean sheet. Job done,
How about for you, Brian? Did you want to comment on the players? Did you agree with the players I brought up in the player spotlight, or in your thoughts?
Dom is just doing what we bought him to do, basically. In this last year, I can understand why people say back in the day he was just doing a lot of work, a lot of running. Of course he was, and he wasn't really stepping it up at the other end of the pitch. It's just, we know he can do both, and now he's doing both. So it's just, you don't spend 70 million quid on someone like him to go, oh yeah, I just want you to do this and do that. No, we bought him to do what he's capable of doing, what he's able to do. That's why we brought him in. That's what we want him to do. Not score every game, not assist every game, but be the guy like that, danger. Unfortunately, in this league, you don't just get to kind of sit around in the number 10 area waiting for the ball to come to you so you can go and do your stuff. You won't last 5 minutes in the team if that's what you want to do. You're going to have to work. And then, unfortunately, when you get in those positions, you still have to have the energy. Like, we can all get in positions, but anyone's ever played the game, you know what it's like when you've been playing for 80 minutes and a chance comes to you and you're just fucking knackered. And your leg just won't hit. Like in this game now, you have to do a run and run and run and still have that energy and that ability to take your chances and not get tired. So he was kind of been maybe bandied like as a bit of a workhorse, but I saw that. I mean, I've got a long memory. My short-term memory isn't great, but my long-term hasn't faded yet. And that was all about Klopp. That was never about Dom. That was all about what is Klopp doing to Dom? What is Klopp doing to Szoboszlai? Look what Klopp has turned Szoboszlai into. That was my famous hated word, narrative, but that's what it was. It was Klopp has taken this guy who was brilliant at goals and assists and dribbling and turned him into Jordan Henderson 2.0. That's what the narrative was at the time. That's all look what we've done to this guy. Yeah. Now it's like, okay, so is it down to Dom? Was it Klopp? I just think it's the price of entry into a elite Premier League team is hard work, and then also to be able to finish your chances and be available. And that's asking a lot of a player. I'm not saying I always say hard work is the bare minimum. Yeah, but that extra stuff at the top, that ain't the bare minimum. That's what makes the difference. That's the good players. So that's the price of entry now, unfortunately, for these guys that may have had a bit more time and space in the Bundesliga or somewhere like that, or maybe even Serie A. Come to Anfield. No, man. It's all go 24/7. So it's taken him probably a little bit of time to get used to that. And we do ask a lot of someone like him. Yeah, so to be able to still be effective and at that penetration is superb. But again, I think that's what we brought him in for. And that's why he's so good and he's so highly rated. So I think we have. I did ask. I think maybe the last time I was on a show, and we did. I said, I remember asking people, "Is this the real Dominic Szoboszlai? Is this a one-off? Is this sustainable?" And to me, it was like, this is the real guy, and it is sustainable. This is what he should be able to do. He should be one of the best midfielders in Europe because that's what he's capable of being. So I think he deserved to have. Again, deserved, no, maybe, but I was pleased to see him be the guy, and JK talked about it, or let's let the boys take a night off and our midfield steps up and scores the goals. It can't always be Mo and Gakpo. So it's brilliant. I just think he's, I love him as a player. I really do. And I think even if it came down to it, we haven't been, but he could play on the right, he could play on the left. We haven't needed to do that yet, but he's just someone that is kind of invaluable. And I don't think Slot, like my acid test a lot is when a new coach comes in. It's very harsh as well. But I'll say, would this manager buy that player? And I think he would buy Dom. I think he'd buy Dom. I think Ten Hag would buy Dom. You know what I mean?
Ten Hag, he said?
Or Ten Hag, oh, fucking Jesus. I think Slot.
Yeah. Wrong Dutch.
Wrong Dutch manager. Well, like we said, best Dutch manager. Right?
It's the final piece of that midfield jigsaw, and that piece has been in place for a while, but now it's like showing its merit, isn't it? Like, it is them three together playing well are just irresistible, aren't they? With the forwards we've got, and with Ibu and Virgil at the back, like, some things are looking great, aren't they? I can't say no more than that, really. Like, things are really looking good, aren't they? Like to see his plans and everything. So it just seems really, I'm really made up for Slot, like, because he's getting a lot of praise now, isn't he? Although people are trying to, like, diminish it a little bit by saying this or that. People are seeing what a wonderful coach he is now, and not just Liverpool fans, the whole football world seeing it. There's lots of people praised him for the way he went about the City game and even Newcastle game, like, and long may it continue.
Yeah.
Give the man a hand. Put your hands together repeatedly until they emit energy in the form of sound. Give him a round of applause.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's a good question, by the way. The one you just put up, Ryan. I don't know if. Do you think that this midfield's a better midfield than that midfield? Obviously, I guess you could go with the primary midfield that we saw, not the adaptations of it, really. But do you think that the midfield that we primarily went with during that era of the three red arrows, do you think it's better than this midfield, or do you think vice versa?
Are you going Fab, Hendo, and Genie, or are you going Fab, Milner, Genie? It's not Milner.
It's not Milner. No.
Okay, so it's Fab, Hendo, Genie against Grav, Mac, and Dom.
Yeah,
basically.
I understand I understand this. That midfield has won a lot more. I get that, and this midfield's still playing. We get that. Just in your own.
I prefer this midfield. I think Fabinho, like you could put Fabinho in with Mac and Dom. That'd be awesome. But I would be taking the Mac and Dom bit over the Henderson Genie bit. I just think this midfield has a bit more about it.
I think I agree. Yeah. I think this midfield is more talented, like skill and offensive, like threats out of them are more talented than. Not saying that others don't have talents, obviously, but I am saying I think that this midfield is more talented than.
But it's very well balanced as well.
Yeah.
It's very well balanced, this midfield. It's not like, oh, that one was all could do the work, but this one is more kind of no, this one has all the work rate.
Right.
Perhaps a tiny bit more, definitely a bit more, but Genie was special.
Gini
Henderson
was
as well,
special.
as much as I don't like him, he was very good for a couple of years,
He's
especially under
serviceable for
Brendan.
what he did. Yeah, for what he
Oh,
need.
under
What
Brendan, he was
yeah,
brilliant.
yeah.
He
For
was
what we
brilliant under Brendan, I thought, in an attacking role. I remember when he got injured, we thought, oh well, we've lost Henderson now,
mhm.
and he was being very effective. So yeah, no, but I would not recency bias maybe, but I would take this 3 over that 3. But Fabinho is a bit of a
Fabinho might be the little bit of
yeah,
the that's
exactly.
the if you're putting the weights on the scale, Fabinho is probably the heaviest weight on this side of their
Yeah,
scale. Then it
it's a
would
good
be
way.
Ginny, and then it would be, I think, Hendo, in that order, probably. Let's see
Yeah, I agree.
what's the chat think about that one? Which midfield would you rather have? If you could have, albeit we have to settle in on what we have. I get that, and there's not a knock against them. Just saying, if we're mixing and matching some of these great teams that we've had and these great players with that midfield, which midfield would you want to see with this with the front three of Mane, Bobby, and Salah? Would you want this midfield, or would you want the Fab, Ginny, and Hendo midfield? You could tell me in the chat as well if you guys get a chance. Is more gifted technically than okay. 2020 midfield was more workman like, definitely workhorse style midfield, certainly. Certainly an engine for the team. And he thinks McAllister, this is Norm speaking, he thinks McAllister has more to offer going forward when we see the right DM. And I agree with that. That's why I think there's Hendo scored, obviously, but he wasn't an offensive threat, I would say. McAllister has the ability to be an offensive threat.
McAllister's a goal scorer in midfielder. When he gets the chance, mate, he's a good goal scorer in midfielder, McAllister.
Yeah.
And
Grab has that ability
when
too.
he's in the 10, obviously he's got much more chance of getting on the score sheet, which he did for Brighton, didn't he? He played there for Brighton quite a bit. He played all in the midfield for Brighton, though, didn't he? Played all the positions for them as well. So he's very versatile in midfield, isn't he, Matt? You can lob him in all 3 of them positions, can't you?
6, 8, 10. He did it all for Brian.
It's a great dancer. I don't know what that one's about. Abdul saying Gravenberg, McAllister, and Dom. Oh, that's a question. I'll bring up that question in a little bit. Abdul, I'll start it for you. And Spasa, McAllister, and Gravenberg are more offensive and attacking. We need a center midfield to help them more like Fabinho, but he still likes the midfield that we have. Okay. And that's the wild and crazy thing about it. I guess, obviously some will certainly argue that this front 3 is not a measure of the front 3 of old that we've had. But I mean, it's kind of wild that we have a midfield now that is certainly to the standards and bar that a lot of people have for our team. The front line is trying to certainly work out how to get there with their combination of staying fit and creating on their own. So saying Ginny would be perfect for this midfield and slot style since he got the press resistance and basically you couldn't take the ball off of him. Hendo gets no way near I guess the team, I guess. Norm is saying he'd say the front 3 were given more freedom with Hendo, Ginny, and Sabasalai, Maka, and Grav going forward, which would not have suited the front 3 in his view. That's a good perspective. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So
but also the fullbacks. That was when it was peak Bravo and Trent bombing forward. As well was when we had that midfield that allowed that as well. Definitely as much, I mean, they had the freedom to just go whenever they wanted. Obviously, you see Robin now doesn't just bomb up and down, up and down, up and down. None of our fullbacks. So that I think the midfield gave our fullbacks as well a lot of what we call security to do what they wanted to do.
Well, it was also a time too when our center forward chose to be a facilitator more than a goal scorer for the majority of his stay here, and the wingers were able to consistently eat, and that's what they did. They definitely scored a bunch of goals on both sides of the wings.
Yeah, if you didn't have that three in there, you're not getting the freedom of the fullbacks go forward, the freedom from that. But like someone said earlier, when you think about it, it's like, yeah, Genie walks into this team. Peak Genie, he walks into this team. Peak Fabinho, he walks into this team. Not Milner, not Hendo. No.
Right.
But when you look at like Genie at his peak, like someone said, you couldn't take the ball off him. Slot would love that. Dutch midfielder, pressure, the whole thing. So, but it's who would he get in? You know, you have who you have now, but that was incredibly well balanced midfield. We've been lucky, you know. I think we've been very lucky that we can talk about most like what would Manchester United give to be able to have this conversation. You know,
I would even say
cobble together one from the last 10 years that's anyway functional.
How about this? How about this then? I'll ask this to the chat as well, but I'm going to ask this to the panel. I'm going to start with Nolante because I think he probably would come up with a very enlightened opinion on this one. And this is under the pretense that these players are healthy. Would you rather have, and this is in this current system, in our current team, not talking about the teams from before, with our current three, would you rather have the NFT midfield or this midfield of obviously Dom, Grav, and called the MGD midfield? Which would you say would be your preference with this current team? And that's going on to healthy status, not saying don't put aside their injuries and all the other their injury proneness and all the other stuff or whatever. I'm just saying if you had a magic sponge and you could just bring back the players.
Everyone's healthy.
Everyone's healthy. Fields. Exactly. The three.
The easiest answer would be to go for the current three, but I'll go for the 2020 midfield.
Okay. So NFT.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying by NFT is obviously it's Naby, it's Fabinho, and it's Thiago. As there was a brief moment when that was our midfield. And that midfield was had some issuances of the same offensive threats, the same abilities of being able to carry on a little bit of the workhorse mentality, but also they were very, very, very talented. All three of those players were very talented.
Yeah.
JK, what would be for yours? And then we're going to move on, but I just like this here. Now we're talking about this.
Oh, it's a tricky sort of question.
Yeah, Bernie's mixing and matching. She said Dom, Macca, and Ginny. I got you, Bernie. I got you.
Yeah. That would be pretty cool. Fabinho, Mac, and Szoboszlai. But I feel the Klopp midfield all played their part. Like for me, Henderson gets a lot of sort of negative vibes and that, but for me, he was the mouth of the team. I think he, as a captain, did his part, hence why we were so good. I think that gets looked over quite a lot by fans. Yeah, that's the Henderson topic, you know. But for me, I probably prefer the Klopp one. Bit more secure for me.
The NFT one I was talking about?
No, I would probably say
Okay. I'm just asking about this one though. I understand what you're saying. Yeah. That was from that was our last question. I was just saying. I was just taking it magic sponge. I'm just trying to get your answer for that one. So I thought that a lot of the things that we're talking about, we could have gotten if they had stayed healthy. I got the if, it's a big if, but Naby is a good goal scorer and is a decent defender. You can play the DM role. You can obviously get the same out of even Thiago if you necessarily wanted to. He's just, I think world class when it comes to a lot of his offensive talents alone. But then you have Fab as being that lockdown, 6 and the likes, and he could have his offensive threats every once in a while. It could give this current one a run, maybe. Maybe not.
Yeah, but for me, I would have that midfield. Like when you look at the era of Klopp, of all the midfielders, I would say a midfield 3 of, say, Henderson, Fabinho, and Thiago. I would prefer them 3 to the midfield we've got right now, but it's a different ball game of how we played then, how we play now, sort of, work rate's still there. Like when you look at Sabot's, he hasn't stopped running. McAllister, so it's a sort of same sort of game, but different. I think these guys will get more goals than them guys.
Yeah, that would be sick. I'm sorry, the hash one. Sure. Everyone's starting to mitch and match. They're taking their everyone's starting
this question just gone everywhere.
Exactly.
Just elaborate my own question. Yeah.
No, I was just saying the best I've actually seen, just for us, like the best midfield I've ever, like, not like, if Thiago was fit for 2 years but the best one I've actually, like, a genuine team that I've seen. I put it in there. That's the best I've ever seen with us is Alonso, Mascherano, and Gerrard. I've never seen that midfield was just perfection. Yeah, and that's one that played. I mean, like other than if this guy was here, a mix and match, but that was one of the most serious midfields you ever witnessed. Alonso, Mascherano, and Gerrard. These are elite players, and they were. Oh yeah, the balance of that was just phenomenal, absolutely brilliant. And then Torres up front. Oh, stop.
We've had
the mad thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say 12 world just straight to Brian, but the mad thing with that midfield, they didn't win anything together.
I know that's the thing, they never won.
You
together,
need the other
You need all the other
even the other pieces. Yeah. You still need the other
left winger, the right winger, because then we're ending up with pennants, or the left wingers and the right wingers are always kind of, that's not that good, or the fullbacks weren't great, but just that central spine, Alonso, Mascherano, Gerrard, Torres, and Gerrard just playing like they were born on the same wavelength. Just so good. It deserved that team, like Leo Teddy came so close. That team deserved a title. It was that good.
Okay. Jermaine, if you're listening, some of us appreciate you. I'm sure Irishman does too.
No, he's good. I mean, when you're talking about the elite, like it was like we had like 10 out of 10 players, and then there'd be like a 6 out of 10 and a 4. It was just,
right.
Right up there.
I agreed. There were some. Definite,
not just Jermaine Pennant. Jermaine Pennant was decent.
I thought he was good. I thought he was decent. He wasn't great, but he was decent. He was a decent player.
One goal his whole career for us. One goal, but what a goal! Everybody remembered that volley from outside the box. What a goal!
Yeah, against a weak toe Chelsea team. Yeah, but then the less that said, the better. But yeah, you're right. These, as you said, 12.
With a lot of people in the chat, let's do this, people. We're gonna try to keep you guys involved in the conversation. That's really super cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it is super cool. Put that, get in plastic and make sure you don't mess it up. Or glass or plastic, whichever you choose. What I was going to say is let's get into, since we got a nice crew in the chat, I think it's the appropriate time that we could dive into these ratings real fast, and we can get into some good talk about what we have the title run as the Reds keep marching on, and also I wanted to get into some of the conversation that we brought up yesterday about. I do have some of the clips that were being asked about. At least one of the clips. I don't have the character Jamie clip, but I do have the clip. I don't even think it's really worth. I don't super want to go into that per se, but I do have the Troy Deeney clip ready to go. So with that said, let's just get into these ratings and do this correct. I'm going to bring this in. And what we're going to do out there is we're going to ask you, the chat, to be the basically the driver, of this Waymo that we have right here. Like, I don't know if you guys have Waymos over there or not. They're very big here in my state. The driverless cars things.
The driverless taxis, they're creeping in. They're creeping in.
Yeah.
You only get them you don't only get them in grid areas, so you can't send them out on the country roads to just drive into it.
Oh, I bet it'd be a struggle to keep them on the country roads, I'm sure. But here we are going to do this. I'm going to bring this up full screen. People, what I'm asking for right here is you guys give us your ratings, and we're going to bump it up, bump it down, or something like that to try to get a consensus. So we're just going to go through these real quick. We're going to go with Allie. This is obviously for the Newcastle game. What were your thoughts on Allie to the chat? Just tell me what you guys were rating him as. Yes, in this, I keep saying yesterday, but you know what I mean. In our previous game. If we get some, and I'll ask. I'll start with Nolante, since you're off mute. For Allie, what was your rating for Allie?
Again, didn't have much to do, so can't really give him a high grade, but then again, he's got a clean sheet. C.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, Bonkers is giving us a rating of 80. I understand. He did get the clean sheet, so that should give him maybe like a little bit extra point or something. I gave him a C minus, but you gave him a C, so we'll make that into a since the 80 and the C, we'll make it into a C plus. How about that? We'll give you a C plus for simply that. How about for Trent? Let's go with Ann gave him Norm gave him a C. Okay, yeah, that's what I was getting. I gave him a C minus, just like you did, Norm. How about for Trent? Again, I know we're gonna go kind of quick on these with the chat. Keep in mind, but if you guys want to get your ratings in, again, it might be not even the Waymo. Maybe it's more of like those here in America. They have the cars with the 2 steering wheels when you're learning to drive, so that like you're in with a driver instructor, and they have their own wheel in case they need to take over. So, but you're in control of the wheel. So, 60. Yeah, Trent did look tired at times. I agree. He is working his way back to fitness, so you got a D minus. Okay. How about for you, JK? What was your rating on Trent? Does it match? I gave him Trent got a D from Bonkers, a D minus from Norm, a D from Hash. I gave him a D as well. What was your grade for him?
I'm going to give him an 80 because clean sheet won, and Gordon wasn't involved at all in the game. He didn't do nothing. Okay. I don't know if that was to do that he supports Liverpool and he wanted us to win the league. He thought he'll take a day off. I don't know, but for me, he wasn't involved. Was that Trent sort of? I don't know the way he played. Was it that? I don't know. But for me, I think Trent, he sort of stepped up in the last 2 games. I think he's looking sharper. So I'm not going to give him a low mark. He got a clean sheet. For me, if you get a clean sheet, for me, it's an automatic 7. But I'll give Trent an 8. I think he was sound on the right. Him and Salah looking good again.
Mm-hmm. I can understand Norm's comment too. I understand, and I actually do agree with that. He's not up to the normal, 90-minute brilliance of Trent for me just yet. But there were a lot of your B is noted, but there were a lot of 60s in the chat, so we'll probably have to keep it at that rating of a D. How about for Ibu? I don't think so. I don't think we haven't done. We did these scores for the previous game to this. We haven't done Newcastle.
Yeah. We haven't done Newcastle yet. No.
We were going to. We did the game before this, which was. It kind of seems like it's on repeat because Dom had 2 great games in both of these games.
Man City, yeah.
The City game and this game.
Yeah.
That's probably why it sounds like it's on repeat. But for Ibu. I'll let Lee give a rating for that, or to contend with the chat. The chat's got it 75 for Ibu, a 90, got an A from Bonkers. Okay. How about for you, Lee? What was your rating for Ibu?
I'm giving like an 80, but I'm going to take 2 points off for playing Wilson onside for that one that was onside. He loses 2 points for that.
Okay.
Thought Ibu. Don't do that again, please.
I agree with that too. Norm, I think
he played really good, mate. I'd give him a good mark. I'd give him like an 85 or something. So if I take 2 points off for the playing onside, it's 83.
Yeah, it's still good. Norm gave him a C. Bonkers gave him an A. Bertie gave him a B-. I agree to Norm. Sometimes Ibu can kind of let himself mentally, take risks that it's not necessary.
I thought we beat them so easily. Giving defenders low marks because they didn't have much to do. That's because they're playing well, innit? And the midfield's playing well. The whole team's playing well.
Yeah, I think considering how he's played since he come back from injury, him playing 2 games, 2 clean sheets, Newcastle and Man City away, I think it's been good for him. Yeah. That's how I look at it.
Ibu's from Paris as well, but you can't wait to get there, can you?
He's probably already there.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, I'm going with what the chat primarily went with, which is that they gave him a lot of B's and solo A, but a lot of B's. It took away my C and C+ that Norm gave him, and with your 83, I will make it a B- for Ibu. How about for our captain, Virgil van Dijk?
Virgil
What
van
was your
Dijk.
rating? Yeah. Let's go with Lee. Excuse me. Let's go with Brian on this one. You're up to bat. Virgil van Dijk. What was your rating on Verge? Oh wow. I know who your first is, I think. I think he's gonna say Alan, but meaning Norm.
What were you doing it? Are you doing 10 out of 100? You doing letters?
You do. I still have the letter grades, but you can, if you say a number, I equate that to whatever that would be in the letter grade. So if you said like an 85, that's a B.
Oh yeah,
like
no.
It's a B+.
I say? I gave him an 8. I gave him an 8 the last time. I gave him an 8 on my show, so I think that's
an 8.
Yeah, 8.
8. Okay.
8. So, 80. 8. So.
Solid. A B-, or would you say a B?
Oh, just no minuses involved at all.
Okay, so a solid B. Okay, so
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Only because if you said 80, I would consider that B-. If you said 85, I'd say 83 to 86 or something. 80, something like that. It's like a B. All right. Looks like the chat is overwhelmingly giving him an A. Verge. Yes, he would get into the greatest side of all time, I think.
Yeah, him and Hansen. Him and Hansen will be the centre back pair for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Simicast.
Virgil,
where's the shouts? Where's the shouts for Neil Ruddock? Where's the shouts for Razor, eh?
Huh.
Razor and VVD. What a combo that would have been.
Well, I would say, how about for Simicast? He got into my player spotlight. What's your for Simi? What would you say for Simi? Simi gets an 80 from Norm. Maybe some of the highlights I brought up might influence some of the ratings, hopefully. Bonkers gave him an 86. Okay. And it's kind of weird because it was like you didn't really like if you looked at if you watched that game live, you probably wouldn't have said, oh, he had a B or B plus type game. But when you hear what he did and then you do watch it back, it is pretty exceptional that he minimized Murphy and he also got in a lot of good challenges. It was pretty solid. So let's go with how about let's go reverse order here. We'll go Brian. What was your rating on Simicast?
7 out of 10, I gave him.
7 out of 10. Okay. I see Norm's giving him a B. Bonkers a B. Simi got a B or a C plus, excuse me, from Bernie. I thought Simi was good. I gave him, even though I did give him a C initially, I will bump it up to. After giving all that praise, I gotta guess I gotta give him at least a B minus. All right. How about for Grav or Gravy? I'll let I think it was Lee that went next in reverse order. Lee, what was your rating for Grav? And I'll see what the chat has to say about it as you come up with yours. Oh, I'll start with mine. And we'll bump or we'll demote or promote from there. What was your thoughts on Grav, Lee?
Yeah, I thought he has a good game. Thought all the midfielders had a good game. 85.
85. Oh wow, my grading's really going to be out of whack then. 85 from you. Bonkers gave him an 80. Gave him a B. Shoot, I have to at least give him a B minus, B plus. No, B minus since those are 80s. Yeah. A B minus. Interesting. All right. How about for McAllister? Macca got involved in the goal, obviously. Graf has played better, by the way. Also, Norm gave him a 75. He has been tired of late. I understand that and agree with that. I like the fact that this coach is starting to maybe get Endo involved a little bit more so that he could possibly get a little bit more rotation going, or at least getting these players some minutes of rest. Macca got a 90, an A, a B minus from Norm, and a solid B from Bonkers. Okay. JK, you would be up.
For me, the goal and everything played pretty well. I'll give him an 80.
Okay. All right. Keep taking it down. All right. All right. I gave him, I think 90, 75. Excuse me, 90, 80, 85, 75. And you gave him an 85, right? I think a B minus is fair. All right. How about Dominic Spotslight, a player in the spotlight? I gave Dom an A minus. But what did you give to Dom in the chat? And what did you give Dom as well, Nolante?
I'll give him.
Or if you want to go Lee, all right.
Go on then. I'll give him 90 out of 100. So I was like, give him a 9 out of 10, 90 out of 100.
Okay. I got you. He is a warrior. He is getting definitely. He's our Rocky. Balboa. Dom got a 95. Solid A. Bonkers gave him an A plus. All right. A- was from
Nolante?
Lee. Nolante, do you want to get a rating in this one?
There's no point. It's been answered, so I'll go on to the next one.
Okay. All right. I'll bump it up to an A at least. My A- is definitely not looking. It's looking harsh. Yes. Abasala. Yes. I don't know if he would like that nickname or not, but okay. That's one way of looking at it. How about for Lucho? Let me say this too. I know that Lucho probably he had the assists, but I know Lucho has been questioned a little bit here and there. But Lucho is playing pretty well. And in this game, if it wasn't for Dominic's play, I would have probably put Lucho in the player spotlight because he had an excellent game, I think, in this game. Incredibly active, that had a lot of different that quality that JK brings up about him, which is being able to hold on to the ball, progress it forward, allow for us to regain our shape and the likes. That was all on display yesterday. Played 87 minutes yesterday. Had a close to if he had made good contact with that attempt and scored that goal, that would have probably been goal of the year. But yeah, let's see what we're dealing with. Nolante, I'll let you do Lucho or do the rating for Lucho, because it looks like Bonkers gave him 94. Diaz gets a B. I guess you could say it's a B a high B-, if not a B from Norm. Bernie gave him a solid B. That's like a B+ from Hash. Okay. What would you give him? What would you give Lucho? Oops. All right. Alante? No? All right. I'll answer for Alante, you ready? Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, sorry. Lucho, he had a good game. I thought.
You're gone, man. Are you there? Oh, he's gone again.
He's on again. Yeah, he's on mute again. Okay, I'll go with my rating, and I'll go with the chat's rating. It looks like Lucho is a solid B+. I think it's a solid B+. That's good. I'll bring out Salah, Mohamed Salah. I gave him a B-, but let's see what the chat gave him. We're almost done the ratings. I think he's the last person I have on here. I think he's the last one. Did we not put in? I missed out on Diego, so I'll bring up Diego too. What would you rate Salah? 83. I'm going to make sure that I have him included too. Yeah, I know. You give an 83 for Diego too? Okay. All right. 82. So like a B-. Okay. So pretty much a lot of people were kind of on board with the rating I gave him as well. Let me get Diego in here. Giving him 100. He performs every week, and now it's improving other players, helping by assists. If he had gotten that assist to Lucho, that would have been possibly the assist of the year, if not to measure with the goal of the year. I thought that was exceptional. All right. We will stay with we'll give him. I had him at a B-, but I will put him at a. Give a second. I will put him at a I'll put him at a B. A solid B. A solid B. I think is good. Bernie's score definitely knocks him up a little bit, but I'll put him at a B. Diego, yes. Let's get the last but not least, Diego. Let me bring this up for everyone. Obviously, gave Salah a B. Diego, I think it's fit. If we can get Diego fit, yeah, you're right, Norm. Agreed. If we can get Diego fit, we might see the Diego of old, where he's not missing, sitters like he did a couple of games ago. I had Diego at a C minus 2. It might have. I was a little bit harsher with my rating, but how about for JK? How about for Diego?
Not really involved. For me, 70, bro.
70, yeah. C minus from Bonkers. Norm gave him a D. I agree. Originally, that was my original grade. Was a D too. Norm. Diego got a C minus from Hash. All right. I think Diego's being lucky to get a C minus out of this and stick with it. All right, let's move quickly to the subs. Only 2 subs to go through here. Cody, because they're the only ones that really, or 3 subs, excuse me, that go through. Because only 3 subs actually got minutes that you can rate someone. Cody got into the 62nd minute. I had Cody as a D yesterday, only because I don't think that he is much like Diego. He's just not up to fitness just yet. You could tell he looked a little rusty trying to get back into form. But what do you think about him in the chat? I have Endo is coming up next with Kwanzaa. But I see that 70 for Cody, a 68 from Bonkers, D plus for Bonkers. Okay. Brian, what was your rating on Cody?
6 out of 10.
6, yeah. D as well. Okay. Yeah, it looks like you're going to have to stick with a D for Cody. Yeah, Cody got a 60 from Hash. Yeah, we're not giving up on you, Cody. We're just saying we're hoping that you find that loving feeling, I guess, quickly, more so than surely. How about for Kwanzaa? Kwanzaa came in at the 77th minute.
Makeshift right back when needed.
Yeah. He brings a different dynamic to it. I mean, I'm not as much as people, aren't really. Yes, it'd be great to have Cody at this moment, or excuse me, Connor at this moment. But it would also, I don't mind Kwanzaa at the right back's position if we were trying to just lock down and have someone that's not going to get bullied off the ball, has relatively decent pace that he won't get, burnt to a cinder. And obviously is more of a defensive-minded player, so he kind of is nice to have when you're trying to do somewhat of a very similar similar substitution as like when you're bringing in Endo, for instance. Who's the next player we're going to talk about? But Kwanzaa got a D plus from a D minus from Norm, a D plus from Bonkers, a C minus from Hash, D 65 from Bernie. Okay, could have been more if he played longer, possibly so. I agree, understand that. I gave him a C minus, but I guess I'll have to give him a D plus with all those ratings. Endo, last player we're going to rate. My guy, Wataru Ichiban. Ichiban, number one. Endo, gave him a good C, as always. He's like Milner. He's like a 7 out of 10, regardless. of where and what you want. He'll always be there to give you quality. What's the chat doing for this last rating? What's the chat doing for this last rating? And then we're going to jump into these other two sections real quick. 70. Yep. Packs a punch nightly. Definitely. Lee, Endo, for you. Was he a C? Oh, Lee went on mute. Okay. So I guess Lee is not available. All right.
JK.
I will do. I know. I will do. I'll just use my rating, I guess.
JK's there.
JK, do you want to give a rating for him?
Yeah, straightforward 80.
80. Okay.
Mhm.
Desi Gay is the same as people are giving him a lot better ratings. Okay, cool. 80, 85. Bernie was with me on the C, but I am not going to hate on it. I'll bump it up to a B minus. Big up Endo. All right, Curtis Jones. Yeah, Curtis Jones, 87th minute, not going to give him a rating. Darwin Nunez came on to 87th minute, not going to give him a rating. Arnie Slot, we will go with you, Brian, for Slot's rating and see what the chat thinks too. Arnie Slot, this is the last. Oh, I give a B plus, but we'll go with this last rating before getting our man of the match and then jumping right into our next segment.
Oh, yeah, me is it? Oh, you got to kind of put his feet up and just watch. Sometimes, I wouldn't be at all surprised if he enjoyed watching that game, because I know they get the videos obviously, but watching the game from a height as opposed to on ground level gives you a different perspective. So he will have been forced to watch that game from kind of a different angle and kind of absorb it differently. And if you're any good at anything, you will take a negative and turn it into a positive.
Yeah.
So hopefully he will have taken that negative, been stuck in the stands, and use a positive of saying, okay, let's just see what my team looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not that he wouldn't, but I know it might be a bit of a stretch, but it's just a different viewpoint and angle on the game. And I think we know now that he knows he can put a game plan into action, and he can put some instructions on the table, and the guys are going to carry them out. So did we destroy them, blow them away? No, we didn't. You know, but it was as professional as it gets. So yeah, the B plus sounds about right to me.
I see that Callum's talking about PSG. He's getting a little scoring in for him. It's so good. It's all good. Let them get it out of their system so that when we get there, they have nothing left to give. All right. B plus is probably where we're going to stay with it. A high B plus. Man of the match for you in the chat. Man of the match. Who was your man of the match? I think you all know my man of the match, but tell me who was your man of the match in the chat. Let's see if it matches up. If not, we'll definitely give shouts and praises to your selection. Real quick, rapid fire. Chat is giving theirs. Virgin Dom for Norm. Bonkers gave it to Dom. You want to do rapid fire? JK. Bernie gave it to Dom. All right.
Dom was all, yeah.
Yeah, Dom. Okay. Brian, who do you want to give it to?
Sure, yeah.
Dom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Lee and Nolante, when you guys are available, just come off mute, and that's what I'll ask you for your contribution. So looks like it is. Oh, shout out for Lucho. I like that, Callum. That's an honorable mention. I like it. But Dom is going to get the man of the match from us. Excuse me. Big up, Dom. Big up, Dom. The only players. Someone gave a shout about how lovely of a player he is, how good looking of a player he was in one of the chats. And I was like, okay, I don't know how that measures into the ratings, but it's all good. That's funny. Shout out to Dom. All right, let's jump into this next segment. And the next segment that I had on there was about the fact that Liverpool have just 11 games left in the Premier League. And some important news about the upcoming fixtures have come in. After the TV selections were made, we now know when 5 of those fixtures are going down in April. Our match against Everton is going to be in our home match is going to be April 2nd. Fulham's going to be our away match against Fulham is going to be April 6th for 4:30 start. That Everton game is going to be it's going to be an 8 p.m. start. So two night starts for the Merseyside games. And the West Ham game is now our home game against West Ham is going to be April 13th at 2:00. Leicester is going to be an away fixture, but we're going to have that on 4:20. Shout out to those that know what that is. And surprisingly so, will be at 4:30 p.m. Interesting. Mm-hmm. And then we have Spurs at home for the April 27th match at 4:30 p.m. 10 fixtures. Excuse me. If I said 11, I guess there's 10. With the Newcastle fixture just being played yesterday. Note that these dates could shift if Liverpool progress in the Champions League, meaning if we get past our matchup against PSG, they might be adjusted as well, with either the Fulham or the West Ham game potentially moving on the dates that they're put on currently. And also with Tottenham's match possibly being rescheduled from April 27th, 4:30 p.m. to April 26th at 8 p.m. If we reach the semifinals. So it's a crucial stretch of games coming up. So please definitely stay tuned. We'll keep you up to date with a lot of what we've got going on. I also did want to put in, I had a quote that I was going to put in as well. But that was about Dominic Szoboszlai, because in his post-match interview, Dominic, regarding these fixtures, regarding our PSG, regarding his current form, and also regarding the team's current form, Dom said, we are happy, really happy that we are 13 points clear, but we will focus on ourselves, meaning not focusing on what Arsenal has done or has to do. Now we have the Champions League coming up, so we will have to focus on this as well. And then game by game, we're looking forward to staying at the top. This mentality is exactly what Liverpool needs, in my opinion, obviously, to maintain where we're at. And it's also focusing on one game at a time that makes, it's that common thread of what you hear from people. But it is what you do need to hear, and that is that we are focused at whatever game's ahead of us, not too far into the future. Let me look at what we do need as it stands. Liverpool let me make sure as well. Liverpool have 67 points. That means they need at least 88 points to mathematically guarantee the title. That's with Arsenal winning all of their games, which I don't see happening. But and that's, again, all of their games being wins by Arsenal. That's not any draws nor any losses in there. But that's just 21 points, basically, from our remaining 10 games. It's a very achievable, considering that we've been averaging 2.4 points per game this season, well above the 2.1 points needed to reach 88 points. So what's the easiest?
It's not an easy game for Arsenal, is it? Away to Man U.
Okay.
Man U just had that comeback win, haven't they, against Ipswich with 10 men. So it's not an easy game for Arsenal, like Sean of most of their forwards, as they keep telling us. Without all them, I can't even see them winning, mate. I can't see Arsenal winning at Old Trafford with just like Trossard and Sterling. No way, mate.
Yeah. Welcome back, by the way.
I'll be supporting United for the day.
Okay. I don't know about that.
Oh no, you know what I mean. I'll be wanting them to win. Is the right way to word it? I'll be wanting them to win.
You want them to draw. You want them to draw, not win.
To win, mate. To win. The sooner we can have the league done and dusted, we can turn to the Champions League. You know, with like our team selections. So this will have a bit. This is if we get past Paris and Villa.
I feel you. I'm just saying, Lee, if you could take 2 points away from United, I'm happy. You could take 2 points away from Arsenal, I'm happy. So I'm looking at it as, would I rather give 3 points to Manchester to United? Heck no. Let them continue to, sit through their turmoil of being 14th, now 14th. They were 15th, but now 14th place with West Ham with 33 points. I'm looking at it as, you want a point? Here's some charity. There's your charity. You get your point. You get a point, Arsenal. But I don't want to see either of those teams get 3 points. That is way too hospitable, way too charitable for two teams I could care less about. So that's how I'm saying it. That's why I'm saying it, Lee. That's why I'm saying that.
I don't care about them. I'm just thinking about us. I'm being selfish and thinking about me, and us. So I want Man United to win.
Yeah.
What's best for Liverpool?
Yeah.
What's best for Liverpool, and it's for the team that's in second to lose. So I mean, it won't really.
Either way.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
exactly.
As I said yesterday,
it won't matter.
Wouldn't it be really funny if when Arsenal got here, all we needed was a draw to win the title, and we could leave like Van Dijk, Ibu, Salah, Gravenberch, McAllister.
No, but like JK is saying, you're saying like Arsenal could beat them 9-0 and they're still not winning the league.
The thing is, when they come here, it's like right beside the Champions League semi-final. So if it can be over by then, do you know what I mean? We can greet them with half a team because we'll be saving that for the big match, which will be the Champions League semi. It won't happen. I'm just being provocative, saying we could do that. It won't happen, but it would be funny if, like, by the time they got here on May the 10th,
we're starting Leone and Dan's and fucking we're starting the gigs against Arsenal at home in the league. Yeah, that would be a proper thumbs up, especially if they were doing the Guard of Honor that day. And
I would love to see that.
But we got Virgil van Dijk.
That's just one thing to get the Guard of Honor. I didn't mean to cut across you, Brian. I'm sorry.
No, sorry. It would be kind of funny if I know what Lee is saying. It's like if we were so far ahead that by the time we played them at Anfield, we could be playing people you've never heard of. Right. Not that we would. Of course we wouldn't. Right. Of course we're not going to do it. We'll stay. We'll stay.
But I mean, how fantastic would that be to see? I mean, obviously, they don't necessarily have to be starters, but how great would that be to see? Trey Neone possibly getting a couple call-ups, or maybe Rio getting a couple call-ups, and actually playing some decent minutes in some of these games. Getting some real appearances for obviously Chiesa, obviously for Harvey Elliott, who I would like to see get more minutes. And even if it is hey, you know what, get these minutes to either prove that you will be possibly something that could be a part of this team going forward, or even prove to other teams that you could be a viable piece for them, in going forward with their career. So we have a lot of different things that we would have benefits from in wrapping this, other than obviously for other reasons, for our mental stability and mental health reasons, it'd be just that much greater to wrap it up a little easier.
Yeah, I think I'm right in saying that the first leg of the Champions League semi-final falls between Chelsea away and Arsenal at home. So they're two tough games to play, the Champions League semi-final in between. And I'm just, hypothesizing that we could maybe take.
Oh, you're talking about getting past.
Yes, for the semi-final if we were to get there. Because they are two big games: Chelsea away, Arsenal at home.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. We're at the round of 16.
I was just messing around, really, saying that it's just a joke, saying that we could, rest Stalin and Virgil and everyone, but we'll see what happens when it gets to the time. See where we are fitness-wise and that. Hopefully, it won't be a problem to be able to play them anyway. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be a problem fitness-wise.
Yeah, I was going to answer this question. Let me bring up this statement by Norm. Because I see Norm and Brian talking about Harvey, and he says they're saying Norm is responding. He says, "I don't think Harvey is for slot." You know what's pretty wild about that is
just for context, that was kind of the comment I made. This season has kind of very much passed Harvey by, unfortunately. It just seems to kind of happen without him, basically,
What I was going to say to that point was preseason. I understand that there were other players that were, out on leave or international leave or and the likes. However, preseason, it could be argued that Harvey Elliott was one of our best players in the preseason, and not only was he one of our best players, he looked like one of the most in tune with what Slot wanted from this team or from the club or the formation or the strategy that he was putting across, because he was dynamic in the games. The game I saw, he was really really excellent in.
Pre-season, you mean? In the pre-season? Yeah. I know. I was hopeful for Harvey that this would be a turning point for him. It hasn't worked out that way. I mean, all's not lost for him yet. We don't know how things are going to pan out. But he hasn't featured an awful lot. As he put it this way, he's featured a lot less this season than he has in any of the other seasons, since he's been a first team squad member.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just going to.
Without a doubt, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to compliment that thought by saying I think that it was interesting that happened, but unfortunately, once again in Harvey's career, and this is not a knock saying he's injury prone or anything like that, but what I am saying, unfortunately, he had an injury, a significant injury that took him out of service for the club right in possibly that part of the season where maybe while the coach is still trying to fine tune and find the right complement of players that he's going to try to stick with for the most part, he was injured, and that was unfortunate. Some other players stepped up to the bat, and then that window of opportunity was very much gone. And then Slot even mentioned it. Games like us getting knocked out in the FA Cup was unfortunate, because those opportunities would probably been more of the opportunities he would have had to certainly get longer stints on the pitch.
I wouldn't be averse to the idea of Harvey being loaned to another Premiership side who aren't relegation fodder and would actually play him, so we could go and play Premiership football somewhere else, and let's see how he does there. You know what I mean? And keep him at the club rather than letting him go.
I understand what you're saying.
Where else on loan? Loads of players have done that. They belong to a bigger Premier League club, but they've been loaned out to a smaller Premier League club and done the business and been brought back. Let's see what he can do maybe next season.
I understand what you're saying. I understand some of the comments that are being posted in the chat.
He needs to play at his age. You know what I mean? At his age, he needs to play.
Yeah. I understand what the chat is saying as well, and by some of the comments they're posting. I remember Abdul posted long ago. He was posting a question. I think I started actually. He had that question where he said, "Grindberg, McAllister, and Szoboszlai, what would you do to Elliott or Elliott, Jones, Morton, Endo?" Meaning, I guess, for the transfer window that's going to be up upon us in summer. I'm not going to go as far as to put a determinant upon, because I think that they could still show some merit or worth coming up that we already spoke on. But also, what I was going to say about Elliott is this: despite the fact that Elliott is not playing, he, much like, and this is my own opinion at least, I think Elliott, much like an Endo, really, really appreciates not only having the opportunity to be a part of this team, but he likes what makes up this team. And what I mean by that, what he likes the fact, like he's all about the badge, and he's all about, like he said, those comments and the likes, and you know that kind of player most likely isn't going to be a headache or a negative or a distraction in the locker room. You need squad players, albeit you're not getting that much play from Elliott, but it's not like he's all right. I didn't mean to throw your name under the bus, Jermaine, but he's not a Jermaine Pennant or something like that. He is someone that has scored multiple times, and he is someone that can contribute to our team. And he's someone that's comfortable and comparable to say, look, whatever way you need me to perform or play on this team, I'll do it. If you need me playing from the bench, that's cool. Is he happy and content with it? No, but he is at least a professional enough to understand that he's willing to put in that service if necessary. And when the opportunity comes, make the most of the opportunity. That's how I would. That's what
I think a loan could be good for Harvey if we have a good summer and he's not in slots immediate plans. Let him go on loan somewhere and in the Premier League. Though I'd like to see him in the Premier League to see if he's got it in him to be a consistent, and then we can bring him back in the fold and put him in the side if he's good enough. I don't want him going into the Championship or anything. If we were to loan him, it'd have to be to a Premier League side, someone I don't know.
Yeah,
whoever. Somewhere where he gets time.
Yeah. I just think that you need those kind of players, though. You need those players that are serviceable players, but aren't going to. Yeah.
But it's not. Sometimes it's not really for us to say to that player, you were that player. Sometimes that player will go, yeah, I get that, but I've got a career. It's like I was happy to be that guy for 2 years as a 19-year-old, but eventually, where you start next season, I'm not saying you get next season, he's down on the bench again and again and again. Okay, you can only take so much.
That's a different story.
Yeah, you can only take so much.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
No, it's again, for all the love at night. I mean, I'd love to play for Liverpool, but if every week I'm not even on the bus, and I'm a pro, eventually there will come a point where it's like, like I said,
this isn't my rodeo, or this isn't my dance.
Like Guler. Like, when do you give up on your dream? When is it when you go to your dream club as a young player? He came to his dream club, like Bernie is saying. We all know how big a fan he is.
Yeah, Liverpool fan since a kid, and he's not even from Liverpool, is he? From down south.
Yeah, and all his family moved up, and so at the age of 15, he's got his move to his dream club. So it's at what point, if it's not quite working out, do you say, do you know what, I'm going to make the move? But this is not for us to say, but it really is, again, like we're saying, if next season starts and it's the first Premier League game of the season and everyone's fit and you're on the bench, you'll know your place again. It's another 12 months of this. Okay. How long do you want to make it last for you? So we all want to see somebody like that succeed and come in and, he's almost kind of the closest thing to a Scouser on the team, really, is if there wasn't one, a kind of like Bernie, like I said, Bernie said, his whole family are Liverpool fans. So he will have that passion. He'll know what it means, all those extra things. But there'll come a time where you go, Harvey, man, you haven't played properly in 9 months. You will get worse. You need to play. You need to play every week to keep your level up. And then the less you play, the more your level will go down. So you need to be on the pitch touching the ball. Training is one thing, bits and pieces is another thing. Starting games. So it's a crossroads for Harvey. And whatever route he chooses, we'll all wish him well.
What I was going to say is from that to this is that I did have a little bit more of introspection of where and what we need to do, but I can save a little bit of this story for a continuation in tomorrow. Considering we do have a little bit of time in between, we have 4 days in between our next game for Liverpool, so it's something of a difference for us, considering we had that span of 15 days and a game every three days. But our road to the title is certainly looking better and better. So I'll get more into that tomorrow. Because I wanted to definitely move into this grab bag of segment that I said, the grab bag news from Liverpool to England to around the world. This segment is where we will catch you up on all the latest from obviously those sections of the world, and particularly Liverpool specific as well. So let's unpack today. Lots to unpack. So let's dive right into it. We spoke on Chiesa yesterday. You might have seen some reports claiming about Chiesa won't get a Premier League medal. Liverpool win the title. Well, don't believe everything you read, obviously, because Chiesa is entitled to a medal, even if he doesn't make the 5 league appearances. And in fact, he's likely to get one as part of the 40 medals the club can distribute. The whole thing is really just a story designed to stir controversy. So rest easy. Chiesa is and will absolutely get a Premier League winner trophy. Another story out there that's kind of funny to talk about is the fact that, the way Anthony put it was funny, but all the same, it's a bit of off the pitch news, but Manchester United's Anthony, or former Manchester United player Anthony, recently opened up about how he was very close to signing with Liverpool back in 2022. I'd like to say, well, we're all glad that Mohamed Salah ended up staying and signing his contract extension instead. And I am also glad that we don't have to weigh out that question of trying to figure what do we do with Anthony, okay? Because it certainly has worked out well. He made it to sound like he was, in the article, he made it sound like he was set to replace replace Mohamed Salah. That's not possible. Another funny story out there in the world was the sheer fact that Manchester City continued to be a hindrance on football, at least the Manchester City ownership group. This time it's not with the Premier League. This time it's allegations by La Liga accusing them of manipulating their balance sheets. Is the kind of scandalous situation that City has found themselves in multiple times, continuously finding themselves a part of these accusations. And it's something that should be a concern, not only for us as neutrals or rivals, or those of us that are outside of the citizens or Girona groups and the likes, and their other multiple teams that they own in different leagues. But it should be a highlight of the fact that ownership groups such as the ownership group of Manchester City are doing certainly some type of alleged harm to the game and the foundations of it in general. And I think it's something that a lot of citizens out there, they don't mind it because they're winning. They're winning. And they're obviously their club has no worries about spending. But if it means spending at the detriment of cheating the game, cheating the sense of giving an opportunity for other teams to try to compete and contend, that makes it a horrible, horrible playing platform. It takes away a lot of the parity that you do see part of the league. And it's something that even you as citizens have to recognize and call out. Obviously, we spoke on a Liverpool title race. Look, it's going to certainly be interesting. We have a lot of fixtures. We've spoken at earlier. I did see an article that had a James Pierce speaking about the contract news, saying that he still solely feels that Virgil and Mo will get their deals signed. It's still Trent that he has the big question mark around whether he's going to actually get stay with the club or not. I know that certainly splits the fan base as to where and what we want to do with those things. There is another thing I wanted to bring up before I get into this last little portion of this segment, and that is there is the Doubters to Believers documentary that has been recently released. It's certainly something that all of us probably look forward to. Those of us that are definitely fans of our former manager, Jurgen Klopp. Doubters to Believers, Liverpool FC, Klopp's Era, it's being called, is out now on Amazon Prime. It's a 4-part series, and Stan Milne gave a very big. He got to watch it. I saw the article saying he got to watch and gave a glowing review about it. It's now available. I'm very interested to see it myself. I do have Prime, so I will be watching it. If you have watched it, no spoilers, please. We will certainly put that as a. What I'd like to do is put it as like, you know how they do the book reviews kind of situations. You know, I was thinking that maybe we could do a 4-part, video review together, and we could all, those of us that have the access to watch the video, we would watch it kind of together in a watch along type. Not necessarily watch it along in the sense of watching it live on a live stream, but have that be like, I know sometimes when you're part of like the movie reviews and the likes, you'll get an assignment, you watch the movie, the next day or whatever, you come and you talk about the review of that segment. I'd like to do that too. So there's 4 parts. We got 4 days to PSG. So I was going to ask those out there to watch, if you are able to watch the first part of the 4-part episode. And we're going to talk about the first part, and then we'll talk about the other parts, the second, third, and fourth part, as we get closer to the PSG game. So yes, it is really interesting. It talks about the final days of Jurgen as his Liverpool manager, where the documentary is really sold. You have to watch over 3 hours to reach it, but when you do, you'll get some views from behind closed doors. Certainly an intimate one. It shows how Jurgen is certainly more Jurgen centric. But you'll get
Does it have a name, this documentary?
Yes, it is called Doubters to Believers. Liverpool FC, Klopp's Error. Doubters to Believers.
As long as it isn't called Being Liverpool, I'm happy. As long as they never decided on the title Being Liverpool, anything else will do.
Yeah, there you go. I still think it's a must watch if you are into answering some of the questions. I know we had some very passionate appeals to Jurgen's exit. We had some passionate appeals towards some of the decisions that were made by this club and by Jurgen himself. You might get some of those answers from some of this documentary. So I'm asking you out there, no spoilers, please. But please do watch along with us if you can. You have the opportunity to watch along with us the first episode. I think Milante's going. He just clicked out so he could go watch the episode, get an early jump on it, maybe. But that's what we would hope that you would do for the documentary that is up. Finally, but surely we're going to speak on this for like a good 10 minutes because I know this certainly needs more than the 10 minutes that we're going to have to give it. But there was a segment that did speak on how insight on some of the internal business of Liverpool right now, some of the deep dive into the numbers that FSG and Liverpool are doing. Liverpool have posted a 57 million pre-tax loss for the last season. marking a second consecutive year in the red. The reasons behind this loss largely tied to the club's Champions League absence and rising administrative costs, both of which have significantly impacted the financial results. You break it down, they had a 30 million drop in media revenue from 23-24. You also had a 36 million commercial revenue, or a 36 commercial million commercial revenue rise, which definitely helped. That was positive news, surpassing the 300 million mark for the first time ever. It's a testament of Liverpool's continued growth off the pitch. But matchday income also saw a 22 million pound rise. However, there are still some challenges with staff costing 13 million. A good number of that was what we end up paying Jurgen on his exit, totaling 386 million. This increase is primarily due to wages and bonuses, including those for Champions League qualification, for a Carabao Cup win last year. The good news here, though, is the higher earners like Bobby, like Fabinho, like Jordan, even Ox you can throw in there. You can throw Naby in there. Even James Milner have all departed. That eases the wage budget. We did supplement that by bringing in Maka, Dom, Endo, Ryan, all making about, which cost about 150 million. Along this, the club extended 11 contracts. There's a lot of other things that I wanted to bring in. I wanted to bring in inflation and rising costs, the positive outlook, the inclusion. I'll do that portion a little bit tomorrow to kind of give you a little bit more so into it, because I know that we're running out of time a little bit here. But the loss, basically the loss is significant. It is a little testament of how a lot of teams, sometimes even the biggest teams, it's not just another, they're not always money-making ventures, despite the fact of you looking at it as, you make so much money from shirt sales, you make so much money from ticket sales, or, and the likes. Obviously, some of those aren't even the biggest generators, but we're going to definitely see a case where hopefully this year will be a difference if we can go deep into this Champions League situation as well. And Robert, I know you're joining a little late, but we just spoke on the Klopp documentary. If you can, for us, don't give us any spoilers. What we're going to do is we're all going to watch the first episode, the first part of the 4-part episode. I'll help out those that don't have Prime on the panel if you don't. And what I was going to leave, since we have 10 minutes, I did have one portion of this show that I wanted to make sure that we got into. It was something we brought up yesterday. We can dive into the financials a little bit more, maybe another day. But I did want to include this right here. Let me include this. This was a question of, and I don't know if Talk Sport, take it down, bring it back up here again. I don't know if Talk Sport will do something where they'll give me a knock against this or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to play. I'll let you quickly see the audio, these are the people that are involved in the chat. This is the Troy Deeney stuff. This is that comment that we had that I was speaking on yesterday that I wanted to bring up. Let me do this. I think it's this one. It's this one. And I want you to hear this. It was kind of funny to hear it, especially considering Troy Deeney. This is him and what he has to say.
As well, saying that, here's what I've said and what I've done, because he knows I'm not on social. So the best part about it with me is I don't care.
Rand just cared enough to call us up 03717223334. You're through to us. What do you want to say?
Hello, Troy Deeney. This is for you. I don't know what you've got against Mo Salah.
Are you listening to what he just said?
Yeah. No. I've listened to everything.
Okay, let me make sure too. You can hear the audio, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Okay, so this is the caller for that called in to talk sport. It was pretty funny to hear.
If you seen that pass that he gave to McAllister, and he also gave that pass to Diaz the other day with the outside of the foot, how could you not say that?
Did you see the one against Villa when he tried it and he played it straight to Konza's feet and they counter-attacked on it?
I said that, but come on.
Do you see what Troy is doing right there? Are you really trying to make a? Are you trying to? You're talking about. He brought up a great pass they made, and the first thing out of Troy's mouth is, "Did you also see the bad pass that he had that created a counter and and all this stuff?" And I'm just sitting there going like, "Okay, bro."
Yeah, but I have seen players in the past that have never misplaced a pass, so it was rather bad of Mo. There are players in the past that never ever misplaced a pass. So he's got a point.
I don't agree with that. There, even the best.
I know, yeah.
Even the best.
It's a bollocks.
I get what you're saying.
Everyone misplaces passes sometimes.
Exactly.
Don't they? Like, there's so many in the bloody game, you can't but not do it.
Yeah, but it's funny because he's quick to bring up that as being like, as in rather than allow it to be like, and give it praise, proper praise. He's like, first, he's really quick to try to like discredit Mo Salah. And then you wonder why people are, for someone that doesn't care, you're wondering why people do have an opinion like this. But wait for it. Just wait for it. Here it comes. Here it comes.
This is my point. So you can't just say it's a good stuff, can you?
No. He is on another level right now.
I don't disagree.
And I think you just say that just to keep relevant, my friend. I mean,
keep relevant. I'm working great.
Hold on.
Good stuff, can you?
No.
That was the part and point that I was like, wow, this is about to get awkward. This is about to get awkward, but let me let you hear it. The caller calls him out for it. Let me make sure that the volume is up loud enough for you. Okay. All right.
No. He is on another level right now.
I don't disagree.
And I think you just say that just to keep relevant, my friend. I mean,
keep relevant. I'm working more than you, buddy. That's what you should be.
See, now, this is also why I was like, Troy, for someone that doesn't care, for you to call out someone, for you to come back as your comeback to someone saying, I think that you say these things just to stay relevant. And then you go, I'm working more than you are. Don't do that, man. You don't know what this guy does. You do not know what this caller does for a living, what his work schedule is, or any of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that. Don't do that. He's like, hey, I'm working more than you.
What now, fella?
As a player, mate, you were awful.
Okay, you've never played. You're like the.
And again, that's where I was saying. Let me just rewind this part real quick. That was funny. First thing he talks about is, I know he brings up about I work more than you, and then he goes, and the guy goes, oh, you're gonna make it a personal attack. Well, then, all right, let's get personal. You were a basic level player, and that triggered him. He said awful, but that triggered him.
Alex Crook at this company. Don't worry about it.
Honestly,
you've never played. You've never played. So you've never played. All right, Brad.
Ryan, you're not doing yourselves any favour.
You were awful.
Okay, what now, fella?
As a player, mate, you were awful.
Okay, you've never played. You're like the Alex Crook of this company. Don't worry about it.
Honestly,
you've never played. You've never played. So you've never played. All right, Brad.
Ryan, you're not doing yourselves any favours. I don't think Troy has slated Mo Salah. He said that
he's trying, and then the commentators that are sitting on the panel, of course, awkwardly are going to now try to say, defend him by saying that he didn't slate him. Which, if you hear his comments in full, there are parts and points where he gives him proper praise. He gives him some accounting of what he is doing. But I will contend that it's one of those situations where it's like, for every compliment, it's almost like a backhanded slap that follows. Just like the guy brought up the one thing about, oh, hey, you know what? Did you not see the pass? He's been excellent. He's been really in top form all season. It's been a revelation this year. Blah 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 blah. And the first thing that he goes and counters with is, oh, did you see this pass? That was horrible. And you're just like, okay. Cool. We see where your agenda is laden, excuse me. And it's one of those cases where you have to laugh. What are your thoughts on these guys? You guys want to comment on Mr. Deeney and what he has to say?
No. It doesn't merit it, does it? Like, we move on to something else.
All right. If you guys in the chat have anything to say on Deeney, this is something that was brought up. Unfortunately, it was commented on by Nolante, who's not here to further his thoughts on the situation. But and because he's not here, I'm not going to bring up the other thing that he wanted to bring up. But it's just interesting, man. I find it so interesting that, like, I can see what the caller said. All respect due to Troy Deeney. That is something that people have brought up, or some of us have said are a part of the conversation. In that, would we probably be talking about Troy Deeney? Probably not. If he was just, kind of staying in his quote unquote lane, he probably wouldn't be speaking on it. Or speaking of him, especially, he'd just be another pundit out there, probably.
Yeah.
Another former player that's now a pundit.
Them balls off the outside of your boot are hard to pull off. Like, you are going to, not all of them are going to come off the ones that do. There'll be more that don't when you try that trick with the outside of your foot from the positions that Mo tries them from. So, it was a bit of a lame comeback, wasn't it, from him to say that? Did you see the one he misplaced, though, went straight to Connor's feet and the counter-attacked? So what, mate? Have you seen the ones that work and end up in the net and the ones that nearly end up in the net? That's all we're concerned about. They're the ones that we're watching. He is an Arsenal fan, I believe, isn't he? He grew up in London as an Arsenal guy and then, had his career somewhere else. As far as I know, he's an Arsenal fan, I heard. But I actually know Nolante said that might not be true. I'm not sure, actually.
I don't know about that. What did Abdul have to say? Troy Deeney has been to jail, was a failed striker, clueless, rattled, and Mohamed Salah rent-free in his head. I agree with a lot of what you just said there. Is factual, and a lot of that, even some of it that is personal, or your own opinion. I agree with some of that opinion as well. I see Brian's on mute. JK's on mute. Nolante, I see you came back. Maybe you heard the statement. What would you say about this? What would you have to say about that? I don't know if you heard. Hopefully, you heard the comments, and you heard him even get a little bit rattled.
Mr. Deeney, good old Troy. He was a world-class player, wasn't he, in his day? Top five, wasn't he? Best striker in the Premiership, old Troy. What a great guy. I mean, how many goals did he score against us? I thought he scored about 5 in 5 games against us, old Troy Deeney. Again, Troy Deeney, I had him to the rants. I read him to Rodri. These people who really don't appreciate said, and the callers, just like he's entitled to his opinion, which is fair enough. We all got opinion. The caller is entitled to opinion. And he can say he didn't play the game, and the majority, I get it. You know what I mean? And but who are you? I mean, you are a football player, but I'm sorry, I've got better ball knowledge than you. I mean, I don't get these people that say the guy can't dribble. And he's dribbling, and then if he doesn't dribble, it's he can't, or it's the way he dribbles. He doesn't do it like back kills. There's different ways. There's Messi do a redondo all the time. Does he flick a ball in the air like a Ronaldinho? He does it once in a blue moon, hardly. But does that make him a worse dribbler? No. But again, the hate is what hate, man. He's an all-round great man. I mean, I remember Salah bending one, taking 3-4 men. 3 years ago when he scored 2 goals this season and put it in the corner, making some of his ex-colleagues at Watford pull their pants down, so to speak. But look, man, it's jealousy. I mean, look, if he doesn't want to watch his daughter, if he doesn't want to bring his children to watch Salah, no problem. He can go and watch Lion King in the cinemas. Go to the theaters, no problem, man. Yeah, there you go, man. It's okay. That's all right. That's all right, man. And once he eventually wins his Ballon d'Or, what's Troy going to say then?
No wonder. But yeah, let him hate.
Oh wow, yeah, he was also a failed manager at Forest Green Rover. Okay.
Yeah. He, I think he only had 10 games. I can't remember. And then he fall out with his players because I think one game he took it too far when he was played. So yeah, so he's
I
back
can
on
see
his
that's the thing of why when you hear some of these opinions, and I mean you hear Troy being like, I'm like, Troy, I get you don't care. I get you take you do the Craig Burley approach to punditry, where you're like, I don't care. I'm just gonna speak from the hip. I'm gonna be a maverick. I'm gonna just say what it is, say what my opinion is, and the likes. We're also just saying, I think, that sometimes I think that just like the caller said, you might be saying some of these opinions with such, I get it, you might even feel this way. It might be your genuine opinion. But I think that you recognize that your genuine opinion will get you clicks, will get you looks, you know? Like there's no reason why everyone's sitting on bated breath to hear what Troy Deeney has to say about Mohamed Salah. And I'm sure for a lot of us, it's not going to change our opinion of the player. But when you hear him say, oh, I just don't care, and I'm like, you care. As much as you're saying you don't care, you care. Because there's a lot of people out there calling you out. And now this even more so highlights your career and your abilities to, connect. And then it makes sense now hearing why he wasn't able to, he had the falling out. It's like, okay, maybe if you did care, maybe your message would connect and travel better than when it currently does. But that's just my opinion. Again, if you don't, maybe you care, maybe you don't care.
Why do you care what Troy Deeney thinks?
I care because Troy Deeney has a bigger platform to try to encourage to.
Yeah, but Talksport, like I said, Talksport is like.
I saw that. You don't have to say the rag.
No, I'm just saying when someone says to you, like, do you see that thing on Talksport? It's like, did you see that thing your uncle posted on Facebook? It's like, yeah, it's probably bullshit. It's just, like, it's just that's Talksport. They invented the whole. They didn't invent the call-in thing. Like 606 invented the whole BBC radio, like where fans would call in, but it was on the BBC. It was like, proper. So like only kind of normal people, they wouldn't like, obviously get the odd weirdo that would call in, they cut them off. But people that had like sort of opinions and wanted to talk about the match, Talksport just said, yeah, fuck that. We're opening it up to anybody. Every lunatic on it, because the lunatics couldn't call into BBC. That's where Talksport started. They're just like, yeah, we're gonna do an open call in, and Troy Deeney here's like Johnny from Birmingham who wants to have a word with you, kind of thing.
Right.
Whereas on the BBC, it was like, no, you have to talk to the researcher. Like they always say, like you get through to BBC and they say, so what's your question? And then you have to talk to a researcher and say, I'm going to ask this, I'm going to ask that. Okay, cool. Yeah, you can say this, but don't, and then they let you on. Talksport is just open field. It's okay, so who's up next? Yeah, it's like Johnny from London, and he hates Arsenal. What do you think? That's their thing, man. And a lot of people like it. Yeah, it can be, but you have to understand as well what it is. Someone like Troy Deeney, he's like you said, he's realized that his opinions, that's what gets you on Talksport. Coming on and being balanced and being fair. He's coming on and saying things like, I wouldn't bring my kids to watch Mo Salah. That's what gets him back on, because he got sacked from Forest Green because I think he did that classic manager thing where he came in and started slagging off the players that were better than him. Now, you can say he's terrible, right? He played in the Premier League as a striker and scored goals. Is he brilliant? No, but you can't be terrible and get to that level. But he is, by most elite levels, he's level D. But he goes to Forest Green and thinks everyone should be able to do what I can do. And falls out with the players in short order. And he's obviously a clown. And they love clowns. on TalkSport. They love them. They absolutely love them.
British media do, hence why all these guys sort of walk into the jobs. If you're anti-Liverpool, welcome in. You know, it's like even our old players do it. McManaman, Warnock. If they're going to bloody do it, what are people like Deeney? Deeney's got no connection to us. He's going to jump on that bandwagon. He's thinking, you know what? Over the years, I've seen a lot of Liverpool hate. All these guys on TV. I'll go that way. So he ain't going to support Liverpool in no way. Never liked him as a player anyway. And a bit of a twat, actually.
Well, the whole sport for me is for Londoners. It's basically for people from London, and
but
there's a fuckload of people in London who support Manchester United as well. It isn't just London, but the whole. If you ever I used to live in London, and there was a guy who worked in the kitchen. He just wouldn't turn off TalkSport. It was just on all the fucking time, and this was back in 10 years ago when they were really getting into it, and it was almost like it was a London station. 99% of the people that you hear calling in when they did call-ins, they're all Londoners. You never hear a Scouser, ever. You never hear a Manc, the odd time. But there'd be loads of Manchester United fans and Liverpool fans going at each other, but they'd all be from the London area. So I think a lot of the northern fans just ignored it because they realized it was just there to kind of wind them up. I'm sure there's much more Manchester United anti stuff going on. That'd be great to go on there. Easy pickings now. Go and slag them off. If you're a pundit or some, just go and slag Man United off for 5 minutes and wait for the fucking call-ins.
Yep.
It'll be Johnny from Essex. I'll be the Manchester United fan my whole life, mate. Born and bred, fucking straight fit in, mate. Okay. It's just all
I
these
get a lot
people.
out of the voices on the call-ins. There's always loads of posh, blokes on the call-ins that are funny to listen to. The posh random voices that you can laugh at.
You never hear anybody actually from Liverpool. They're all just there to slag everybody off and wind up people. And you get those horrible DJs. Hang on, he says this, he just said this, he just said that. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? He just called you a dickhead. What do you think of that? I think of that. Someone calls you a dickhead. What are you going to say? Oh, well, I appreciate your point.
You want to drink? You know what I mean?
To your decision. You're going to call him a dickhead straight back. Call me a dickhead. Call you a dickhead.
That's the world of football right now. When you look at social media, internet football, fucking hell, even the content creators are doing it. They love it as well. You get some channels that are not like that, but in general, 9 out of 10 channels are pure taking the piss out of each other, this, that, and the other. And the crowd and the chat saying, "Oh, he just called you that. What are you gonna say now?" And all that. Come on, man. Kindergarten.
Danny Murphy is on there, but has to fight his corner every week. Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing on there.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to definitely make sure that I brought up that clip that I said was interesting. It was certainly an interesting situation where you have a player pundit, former player, current pundit that is now having to speak to if he doesn't care, he could care less about what we have to say as the people. But when you're sitting, guess what? When you're on a channel or when you're on a station or whenever you're on, and they're the ones that pay your bills because they're their listeners and everything else, as much as you might not care, you have to have a little bit of ounce of caring involved in it, because guess what? They're the ones that pay your bills. And if you don't care, then guess what? They'll stop listening to you. So it's interesting. All the same, Troy Deeney, I personally think you're wrong about Mohamed Salah. And I think a lot of us on this channel think the same. All the same. All the same. What is it that you guys wanted to say? We're at the 2:10 mark. We're going to be ending the show. So just anything you guys want to bring up real quick, or if you want to talk about something that we haven't spoke on, now's your time. Go ahead, Delonte. You want to say something?
Just from yesterday again. I know I did bring up yesterday about the whole controversy from Carragher's comments with the AFCON. That's the worldwide coverage and spread, and obviously a lot of people, a lot of fellow Africans, myself, have reported on it. John Obi Mikel and El Juve, and and I get it, but again, look, I'm not particularly fond of Jamie Carragher, if I'm honest. Some things I disagree with him, some games I agree with him, but sometimes I think, if not even just him in general, things are taken out of proportion. And he came and said it on Twitter. He said he was clumsy for what he said. So whether it's hard when people have a perception about you, whatever you say, whether they believe you or not, it is what it is, isn't it? And he was clumsy because he called AFCON not a major tournament, which it is. But what he's meant to say, and which I understand the point, is that fact that in regards to, and really it's not about Jamie Carragher, bigger, like in regards to AFCON, the Confederation, the AFCON, the CAF, Central African Foundation, they're very bad, they're very corrupt in Africa. There's a lot of corruption in terms of way AFCON is and stuff like that, in terms of pitches, etc. But if he would have been smart, hence Sturridge, big up Sturridge and Michael Richards, to try to put him right. But again, his face reaction didn't say it. They should have said that, if Mohamed Salah, basically, if he won AFCON and didn't win the Premiership, but didn't win the Champions League, that still won't be enough for him to win the Ballon d'Or, which is fair enough. And he said regarding to Egypt, and I get that. And I get that, because he wouldn't, because FIFA will pull AFCON. It's not in the high to-do list. Like we saw last year, Rodri won the Euros and he won the Ballon d'Or, Euros and World Cup. And that's just the truth of it. And that's what he should have said, but he came out wrong. And then John Obi Mikel, obviously a few African legends have come out in, but what annoys me, and again, regardless of what I think, what's funny, these are the same people when other people, not just Klopp, who quickly corrected himself, because Klopp doesn't mean disrespect. And other pilots, managers were saying these guys were quiet. Now, because it's Jamie Carragher, then a lot of them have to talk. And this is what kind of molded the hypocrisy of some people, because some of them, when people were dismissing AFCON, these guys were nowhere to be seen. And you can say, and Joe Miguel, I listened to his podcast, I was just, because he really went into one regarding it. And yes, defend it, fine. But when other people were speaking about it, where were you? Where was your voice? You know what I mean? One of the guys on your team is a racist, but you're friends with him. So I just don't like the hypocrisy. And it's not even about Jamie Carragher. It's bigger than that. It's about FIFA, UEFA. These are the people that downplay it. These are the people, the AFCON Federation. So I just think, as much as yes, and Jamie's trying to kind of to apologize for the way, but if he thinks the Euro's fine, so be it. You know what I mean? It's not that deep. If that's his opinion, who cares?
No, he's talking about the competition and not you know what I mean? He's talking about the competition and how it's perceived. And that's the long and short.
But that's the thing. Sorry, Lee. Norm was saying there, what has he said? Because some people might not know what he actually said. But I think basically what he said.
It's about the Ballon d'Or and whether he get it. And somebody said to Carragher, if he won the AFCON as well, would he get it? And Carragher said maybe not, because it's not seen as big as like winning the World Cup or the Euros. And that's what he said, basically.
Basically, yeah, exactly. That's the way I saw it. He's basically come out and then said, well, he probably just started digging himself into a hole. But I think, like, maybe what Nolante is saying, he was like, FIFA don't rate that shit. Basically, he wasn't saying I don't rate it or I don't think it's. That was the read I got off it. Like I haven't seen the thing fully, but he just
He's
basically
talking
came out and
about
said,
what their opinions are of it. He's
yeah,
not
what
talking
their
about what
opinion
his
of it, as
opinion is
opposed
of
to what
it. He's
he
talking
said.
about what
Yeah,
their opinions are of it, like these.
he wasn't saying, "Oh, I
elite
don't rate
games
it.
and that.
It's a second-rate competition." He was just saying, "Well, if someone said to him, well, what if he won that?" He was like, "Are you serious? Like FIFA don't rate that." Or whatever. That's the way I thought it played out. And then it was kind of like, and then the two boys were in the room, and whatever he could have just said that, but apparently it's sort of like the one white guy in the room is trying to explain what racism is, and there's Mika and Sturridge just sitting there kind of going, "No, dude, no, don't." You know, maybe that was the idea I got. Some people were saying no, they were looking at him going, "No, you need to stop here." I don't know. But it's not like he's going, "Oh, that stuff is nonsense. It's a load of shite." That AFCON thing. He didn't come out and say that. He just came out and said, "Well, you could win that all you want, but you're not going to get a Ballon d'Or because of it."
How it's perceived.
I don't know. Like I don't. It's like
football,
this isn't for me. Exactly. It's how is that perceived? I don't fucking know.
Yeah,
He's
I
obviously
think
come out and said, "Sorry,
And
no,
mate,
they're not.
this
This isn't for me
guess
to
is
say."
probably wrong anyway. Carragher's best
I'm
guess
the wrong
about the
guy,
way
like,
they
I'm
do
doing
the
the
thing is
Carragher.
probably wrong because none of us know how they bloody do it, really, because they have some odd decisions, don't they? And we had all this palaver this year with Vinny Jr. and that getting miffed over Rosary getting it. It is. It's become a bit of a daft thing, and the Ballon d'Or always it just throws up like silly things rather than good things now. It has more negative to it than positives in my view now, that award.
Yeah. I think it was Brad because he said it was a minor. Well, he said it was a minor tournament, so hence Sturridge and
okay.
Richards were like saying it's a major tournament. So they're seeing
It was
that,
a
and a lot
one-word
of
thing, basically. It was the
kind of
wrong. It was just
kind
like
of it's
singly
the
on
way.
one word. It's like, don't say minor.
Yeah, it's major. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then Brian, the look on his face again. So people are taking it into context, saying, "Oh, he's kind of just like, oh, they're kind of just dismissing it." So basically, he's disrespecting him. But there's a way to. I think what it is, Brian, it's the way, it's the wording of everything he said. That is it. We said it in a different context, there wouldn't be an issue. But I think it's that, and because of the person he is, and we won't go into
And he's
what
a footballer as well, by
brings
the way.
in.
You know, they're not the most gifted people like at expressing themselves.
Exactly. He's a
As
footballer.
footballers, like, so you'll give him a bit of slack.
Yeah, but
He's not
again,
a
the
professional
problem is,
broadcaster. They'll make mistakes, won't
yeah,
they?
yeah, that's
But no,
it.
I just
And
think,
yeah, go on, Brian. Sorry.
like in Carragher, he's not out there maliciously doing stuff.
Yeah.
It's just he said the wrong shit at the wrong time. But I think he's probably got the right idea. It's like, yeah, FIFA ain't going to rate that shit. Or UEFA isn't going to rate that. It's like, it's this, and this. And
it's the way he said it to me.
Yeah, that's all it
He
is.
didn't say it right, man. Yeah. For me, Carragher's in the wrong. The way he said it.
Because Jake, I haven't seen
I
it.
actually watched it live. I watched
you tell me.
it live, and he was uncomfortable in the way he said it. Hence why, for me, he could have said it better.
Who asked him the question? Who was the question poser? He said it.
The normal guy on Sky Sports who does most of the games.
Dave Jones.
Dave Jones.
Yeah. Because all it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go on, JK. Sorry, you're going to say. Sorry.
No, just like for me, the way Carragher said it, he could have said it better than that. Like he was sort of taking the
he's
piss.
a footballer, don't forget, like, can he? You know what I mean?
I don't make excuses for people. He knows what he was saying. My opinion.
Okay. You think it was a dog whistle kind of thing? Was it? Or...
Disrespect, my opinion, in that way. It could be a bit more. Like if he just wants to say he's not big, say it. But it's the way he was sort of saying it, a bit cheeky for me.
It's the clumsiest thing any Liverpool player said since Jordan Henderson said he was going to Saudi Arabia to change their minds about LGBTQ+. Hopefully.
Oh, God, yeah.
What is that? New Amazon Prime
thing
channel?
that wanted that he said that out loud, like, was, you know, he got some stick, you know, from Liverpool's gay fan club thing. I think it's called Cop House. Oh, he got loads. I seen it, mate.
I remember that. Oh Lord, yeah. I was just thinking, put a sock in it. Just leave the guy alone. Just, it is what it is, supports the rights, you know what I mean? So if you want, but again, it's when you get football and politics, we all know it just doesn't mix. And obviously, this thing, I've analysed it again, only he will know. But look, regardless if you think he's lying or not, he's come out and said he was a clumsy statement. And then fine, if he wants to rate if he's saying in the sense of Mbappe wins the Euros, it'd be more taken than Salah. If he wasn't to win the Champions League, he won the AFCON and the Premiership, they wouldn't FIFA, and that's true. Like that, I get. That is true. That is true. Like I said, it's bigger than that. And obviously,
Easier have created this, haven't they? With the Liverpool going to win the treble, will Mo Salah win the Ballon d'Or? The media have created this, haven't they? And drew people into it now. Like, so it's worked for them. They've got a story out of it, haven't they?
Yeah, and that's why they get involved in that nonsense. But to me, if someone's being a bit of a twat and saying something, you got to point it out. For me, yeah.
And and it was kind of just stupid. He could have said it in a much clearer point, and then no problem. But he didn't. And look, he's come out. He's kind of like, obviously, let's be real. Sturridge and Richards, obviously, they've spoken because he gets on with Mika, both of them. They've had work. They've spoken to him off air, and obviously he's been bombarded, and everyone's talking about it, and obviously he's come out and said, this is what I was trying to say, and it was clumsy. So, but of course, people, once you've done something like that, whether they think you're going to be truthful or not, it is what it is. So look, all you can do is say, that was a silly statement, and and that's it really. But again, it's gone viral. John Obi Mikel went into him, and said, you ain't won nothing for England. And
he wasn't wasn't he, of characters like in that Chelsea side?
Exactly. And obviously for Africans, like, it's very deep rooted, but a lot of Africa are like, obviously they're really against him, and obviously everyone's cussing him, saying you are an average player, etc. But But at the same time, and then some have gone even further, which I'm not going to mention.
Did you see him in Istanbul? That's average. What he did in Istanbul. Come on now.
Yeah, but Carragher. But the thing is, Carragher, he's never once said he was a world class. He's where you say, look,
that's one thing he wasn't.
He's always said it. He never.
Got stuck in. That was his thing, getting stuck
in.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and I get some points, but some of it again. Listen, I'm African, but some of it for me, like I said, is blown out of proportion. And Joe Mikel, and this is why I hate. Like, you want to call in that, but then why don't you call others out that were saying this thing? Why? But I don't hear them, and this is why I hate hypocrisy. Fine, you want to go for him, cool, but why? Where were you when other people were disrespecting it? Where were you in other? But again, for me, it's deeper. So there's no point going on about it. That's all I say. Because at the end of the day, Joe Mikel, he was an average player. He wasn't that great. But, it is what it is. But I just think, wrong just words, but look, let's be, but regardless of all, wrong or right, he rates, as much as everyone wants to, he does rate Mo Salah. He rates Mo Salah very highly, but everyone has, it's all opinions, isn't it? Troy Deeney on Salah, this person, it is what it is, but it was stupid, so I just hope that he can just get on for it and he just learns better, or maybe not. That's really down to him. But again, at the end of the day, AFCON, obviously, for me, is a major tournament. It's just not high up in FIFA. The Euros and the Worlds are over it, it is what it is. Understandable. Copa America and AFCON are on the same level. That's it.
So who's won it when they've won the World Cup? Who's won the Ballon d'Or when they have actually won the World Cup? Who's got it in them circumstances? Obviously, they might have to win something else with it. If players have won it, haven't they, for winning the World Cup? That's come into it when they give their reasons why.
Yeah. Well, we do have a World Cup coming up, but I mean, Champions League. If we win the Champions League and we win the Premier League, and Mohamed Salah breaks this, record set by Henry, and he does all these different little things and all the records he's already set already, but especially if he breaks that record, if he sets a scoring record and an assist record in the Premier League, and even challenges, if not breaks, the record set by by, I think it's having a goal and an assist, having a goal and assist in a game, in one game. I think Messi holds. I think he's tied with Messi for the record at 11, I think, or something like that. If he can do those things, I think Mohamed Salah should be a strong candidate. I will make this very, very controversial, probably slightly controversial statement out there. I think that there is a more possibly even there's more deserving candidate out there, but he won't get the votes. He'll get probably some recognition, but he won't get the votes, especially in a year where Mohamed Salah is doing such exceptional things. But I would personally make an argument for Virgil van Dijk to be.
I was about to say that. Yeah, I thought you were going there. 12. Let me. Sorry.
Wouldn't he?
Let me ask you quickly a question, because this is something that was mentioned on the Beijing Reds. There was part of the conversation, which I was up till 7 a.m. So yeah, that was a record. Yeah. Who, for all you guys in the chat, and obviously you guys, JK, Brian, Lee, who, if the season ended all right, let's just say we'll get to the end of the season. Who for you brings more value or more importance to the team? And who would be your player of the season out of the two, PVD and Salah?
Who brings more what to the team?
With more value and importance, who would be your
importance?
And plus, and who would be your player of the season out of the
Who's
two?
more indispensable? You meaning?
Yeah. And who would be your player of the season for this season out of the two as well?
I still think that Virgil van Dijk is the most indispensable player out of the three that we have. And I say that because it's one thing that he's taken on his leadership, something I've commended, something that I got pushed back from some people out there that didn't want to, that for other reasons for not, were saying that Virgil wasn't a good captain. I always thought that he was a good captain. I think he was a captain even before he wore the armband technically. For this team, or was wore armband, but was voted to wear the armband as the top choice, being the captain of the team. But I think Virgil van Dijk is the most indispensable portion of this team, primarily because I've seen this team play without Mohamed Salah. We see it every 2 years, basically. But I've seen this team play with Mohamed Salah and still be able to win games, still be able to go and push on. I've seen this team push on and win games without the world's best goalkeeper in my mind. But when we lost Virgil van Dijk, that was a significant blow to this team, in that it was a real deficit, real hole to fill. And I think that's why I think Virgil van Dijk is the most essential part of our team. And then I'll just cover that with the sheer fact of I would like to see him have a center back pair that is consistently available and able to play with them. And shout out to Ibu because he's made an effort this year to do that. But I think that you can get goals from other places. You could possibly get goals. You could be almost like you wouldn't want to have to rely on them, but you could get goals even from your defense for that matter. But when it comes to defense, that's the cornerstone of a team, I think. And he's a cornerstone of our team that can't be overlooked, in my opinion.
BBD.
Fair enough.
BBD we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm talking about BBD.
Yeah,
honestly,
I offered BBD
the
as
list. Yeah, no, I want the list of people who didn't think he'd be a good captain.
I don't want to give that online.
No, I just honestly, I've never spoken to a Liverpool fan who didn't want him to be captain after.
There were people. There were definitely.
There were, but I've never met one. I mean, if we're talking about people who didn't, I mean, I think 99.999% of people are like, make him captain. So I mean, if we're talking about,
there were a couple. I'm just saying, Brian, that there were.
yeah, I'm sure they're out there. I'd love to know
because there
who
were
they
people
are.
that thought that Mohamed Salah were, and some of the choices that they had were good candidates. They had some people had Robbo becoming captain. Some people had this is when Hendo left, obviously, but some people had Robbo becoming captain. Some people had Salah becoming captain. Some people had even Ali becoming the captain.
No, if anybody out there didn't think he'd be a good captain, I would love to meet them and I invite them on stream. I would love to meet a Liverpool fan who didn't think VVD could be a good captain.
I'll see if I can make that happen.
They're watching the wrong sport. They're obviously watching the wrong sport. If you look at everything he's done for us and think, nah, he's not captain material, then just go and do field hockey or something, because you're missing the point. You're missing the point if you can't see this guy. Jesus, he was like, I'm not saying Virgil was captain before he was captain. He's just one of those guys. Man United did the wrong thing. I always equate it to Man United because they bought Harry Maguire for more than we bought Virgil for. And the day he arrived to the club, they gave him the captain's armband before he'd even played the game. They literally handed him the captain's armband as he walked in, Harry Maguire, to Manchester United. We had one of the greatest centre backs of all time, and we're like, yeah, you gotta wait to get that captain's armband here, mate. There, you know, the levels of, like, Virgil just has to sit there and go, okay. You know, I'm clearly the best player on the pitch in this pivotal captain's role, but I don't wear the armband. At Manchester United, some guy who's only been there for 4.5 seconds gets the armband. That to me spoke so much about what we were doing and what they were doing. But like I said, yeah, those kind of guys, yeah.
Look, I got criticism. Oh, sorry, I thought you were done. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying they are the captains. You know, someone like VVD, you're just he's got that aura, man. He walks into a room, you're probably going to listen to him. Even the manager sits down. Okay, let Virgil talk. He's just that kind of thing.
Yeah. His opinion matters a lot to people. And I mean, it's notable by defenders that look up to him. But there's a comment that was made by Norm, and I said it. I know that some might see it as being disrespectful to Henderson that was wearing an armband at the time. But there was parts and points towards the end of Hendo's run where I was saying I thought personally that VVD had become more of the leader, more of the. We look to him for leadership than they did to Hendo, primarily because Henderson at that time wasn't always on the pitch.
Yeah, he was on the bench.
And also, there were parts and points. You know, I remember, for instance, there was we went through a pretty lengthy or a pretty bad losing streak for that year, and I remember that. BBD wore the armband after we were going through this like losing streak that that Hendo was the captain during, and Hendo got benched for that particular game. BBD was the captain, and we won that game. And I remember making a comment about saying like that is my captain, like as in like he's someone that I think deserves that armband because he not only proves his worth in leadership on the pitch, but he proves his worth in the sense of his level of play, the expectations he holds for himself and those around him, and the sheer fact that the people around him appreciate and respect him so heavily and highly that hearing criticism or hearing someone call you out to step your game up or get your focus on or whatever it is, you're more likely to respond from a BVD than maybe a somewhat out of form Hendo or something like, you know what I mean? Like you're sitting there going like, I got to pull my game up. Why don't you pull your game up? But very often you can't really necessarily say that to BVD. That's at least my perspective. That's why I would say sometimes statements like that. And all due respect.
Well, no, to me, I was just saying, the guy came in, it's like, that's our captain. From day one, I don't know why most other people didn't see it. It's like, that's the captain on the pitch. I don't care what he's the best player on the pitch, dominant, all those things you're saying,
Yeah.
to me, that's obvious.
Yeah,
But the point I was trying to make was when we had that guy that was so obviously the captain, and we're like, yeah, you're gonna have to hang on a bit. But when Maguire gets to Manchester United, like, oh my God, we're so desperate. Oh my God, thank you. Here's the captain's armband. Oh, please go out and lead our team. Please be a leader.
Who did he take the
There's
armband off of,
difference
by the way?
in levels.
Do you
Oh
remember?
crap! Who
I
left?
don't know.
Who was the actual captain that would have left?
De
Because it
Gea,
was
I
in the
think.
summer.
I thought De Gea wasn't De Gea the captain, maybe?
De Gea was captain. They had like, yeah, I think it might have been.
I don't
De
know.
Gea.
If you know
Yeah,
in
no,
the
I think it
chat,
probably
tell us.
wasn't. No, I think
You
it
know,
probably was him. It probably
It
wasn't
was.
because they got to that point, yeah, where he was captain. They had nobody left in outfield that was worth giving the armband to, so they gave it to him. I think, yeah, you might be right on that one, De Gea.
Yeah.
It just shows you the levels we were at. Where someone like him who comes in is like, that's the most obvious captain material of all time. Isn't he the vice captain?
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. Well, big up to everyone that's joining us. We got 13 people still left in the chat for a over 2.5 hour show. That's really, really great to hear. Because it shows that you possibly enjoyed the content that we were providing today. Hopefully you did. Hope you're watching this on replay. You do the same by leaving a comment and showing, certainly hitting the like button if you can. Be greatly appreciated. And before Lee goes too much in depth about Tracy,
talking about Jesper Olsen's teeth at the moment, like to know.
I'm sorry. Yeah, whatever. I'm sorry about that. Not to interrupt your dentures conversation or your or whatever it is that you guys are having your side conversations on. I would say big up to the panel, big up to you in the chat for definitely making this a great episode. Again, do you guys want to give a quick shout out to anyone or anything real quick before we bring this to a close? Let's go.
Shout out to Plymouth. Shout out to
Brian.
Plymouth for giving them the game. Yeah, shout out to Plymouth for showing a bit of pluck. They lost it late, but they were 1-up until. So yeah, shout out to Plymouth today.
They had the moment. They had their moment. Of, are we going to do this? Or is this going to happen? No, unfortunately, it's not. But you can still hold your heads high.
They had to bring on Haaland. They had to, bring on their big guns to deal with them. So
yeah,
fair play.
Yeah, fair play. Bournemouth presses on. Bournemouth presses on. So Villa presses on. So does Preston. Crystal Palace. Bournemouth. City.
One other thing, 12th man.
Yeah.
One other thing. The new law about the time wasting. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
No, there's a new law that's coming in this summer where we all know about, the goalkeepers holding on to the ball for too long.
Is it about the corner or something, maybe?
Now they're making it's going to be a corner. So goalkeepers who waste time by holding on to the ball too long are to be penalized with the award of a corner.
Do they still? When did they get a yellow card though? Did they get a yellow card for it, or they?
No, they're basically changing it to a corner. But I'm looking for the thing. Goalkeepers holding on to the ball for too long have been blah blah blah. The results of the trials have been they trialed it in Ireland basically, which is what they always do. The results of trials are very positive, so we're going to move forward and put that into the positive game.
And what other goodies have they installed to prevent time wasting? Free kicks as well. This palaver of like stopping people taking quick free kicks and that. And I mean that's already a yellow card offence when you stop people trying to take a free kick.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean?
One thing on Elite, which might be David Ellery, or him, the former Premier League.
Oh, yes. The Harrow schoolmaster David Ellery. Harrow schoolmaster David Ellery.
They cited Brighton's victory at Manchester United last season, whereas the United goalkeeper held on to the ball for an average of 4.8 seconds, Brighton's goalkeeper average was 14.8 seconds. So it's I'm trying to find what the actual seconds of it is. No, but someone said earlier on it's like 8 seconds. So yeah, it won't be a yellow. It's basically if you do it for too long, then they'll beep and it's like boom, corner.
Corner. Well, that'll stop it. If nothing will.
Yeah. I like it. I like it. I mean, because it is bullshit, basically. These guys going to ground, picking it up, walking around, taking a breath,
Pickford?
bouncing
Oh
the
yeah,
ball,
Pickford.
taking a
Who was
drink.
it? Was it
Oh,
Allison took the piss out of Pickford by doing
yeah,
it
that was
himself?
brilliant.
Like,
That was
yeah.
brilliant.
Pickford, yeah, that was terrible. Him. Get that out the game.
He caught the ball. Basically, he caught the ball in a standing, like he was standing up and he caught the ball, and then he just ran forward and dived on the ground and held it, which is what Pickford would do. And everybody in Anfield just started pissing themselves laughing straight away. So yeah,
it was funny, mate. It was so funny. I loved it.
Yeah, they knew what Ali was referring to straight away. Like, but yeah, I like because refs don't want to give yellow cards. To a kind of for techie little thing like that. So I prefer the quarantine because more likely they give them that, if you know what I mean. Because it's a less harsh one. So if it's a keeper, he's on a yellow card. It's like, okay, well he's held onto it for 0.2 seconds longer than he should do. Am I going to send him off for that? No, fuck that shit. They won't give that, but they will give a corner. Because that's not going to be
the
nice
keepers
anyway.
will know what the time is, won't they? They'll be aware of what the time is, and they'll have to have it in their heads, won't they?
Yeah, but they won't be able to. They won't have a stopwatch in front of them, so they'll have to think, "Fuck, is it 8 seconds?" They won't know, so they just do it
I
quick.
know, yeah. It's not going to be easy, is it? Like, there's going to be a lot of corners happening, isn't there, as a result of this next season?
Well, hopefully
they love
is
corners.
For us.
One of their biggest weapons.
Hopefully we can start converting some of those corners into goals more so than not. But yeah, I remember that they were weighing that as being an option. I think that's a interesting and very, very good good improvement possibly. Again, Newcastle Brighton tomorrow, Manchester United Fulham tomorrow, Forest Ipswich on Monday, right? So we should get a good one, get a good reading on who's going to be in the FA Cup semis, right?
Quarters,
my fault. And we will definitely keep our eye on that for you. But until tomorrow, I'm going to say, hope that you guys continue to stay well, continue to stay blessed. Appreciate the blessings of you joining us today. We will be back probably right around that Manchester United Fulham game is ending. It's probably right around the time when we'll be starting up our broadcast tomorrow. I'm going to bring up some of the other points that we had. Also, hopefully you guys get to watch your first chapter of the 4-part series of Doubters to Believers. The review that we're going to do, the video review, I guess you'd call it, the documentary review that we'll do. And yeah, we'll get hopefully some conversation just generated on that. We can just talk about that since we do have a little bit of a lull until PSG starts to, really ratchet up into our conversation. So yeah, I know, Lee, you probably watched them all this morning. That's good. A little binge watching on it. But we're going to talk about the first episode tomorrow. And hopefully, Lee, you can join us in. Please don't give us any spoilers on the other 3 parts, please. But definitely join in on the first part if you can tomorrow. would be doing a definite service to all of us to keep our ears away from stuff that we're going to be talking about, certainly at length, I'm sure. So until then, I'm going to say for the panel, big up to everyone. And I also say certainly for all of us in the chat, in the panel, and just in general, up the Reds, people, up the Reds. We'll see you guys tomorrow, and definitely take care.